Chapter 40. As a third-year high school student, Luo Qingshan had 8 classes a day. All the music class, physical education class, and computer class had become English class, and English class. She couldn't help feeling the importance of having 2 languages in this society. Achoo! During the last English class, Luo Qingshan sneezed. She rubbed her eyes. Damn, who is scolding me? The sky outside the window was covered in thick dark clouds, and a cold wind blew past. This day was very strong. Who is scolding you? You're the one who's wearing too little. Yang Mengting turned to look at her angry appearance and said with a smile. Luo Qingshan looked down and saw the light pink sweater she was wearing, only wearing an autumn uniform. She pursed her lips into a laugh as she said, "It seems like it." But what she was most oppressed about was not that she was wearing too little. Rather, she didn't bring an umbrella, but it was a good thing that the movie theater wasn't that far from the school. Moreover, as an outstanding time and space traveler, she wasn't afraid of being caught in the rain. She carefully put the movie ticket in her pocket and pulled down her hat as she ran towards the movie theater. The moment the rain fell onto her, she felt her body slightly tremble. It really was a bit cold. It was only 6 when she arrived at the entrance of the movie theater, and there was a fried chicken store beside it. She thought about it. Su Yang-chun shouldn't have eaten yet, so she should buy some for him. For herself, she should buy more. The fragrant fried chicken and the ice-cold cola, the feeling of eating it together was crisp and cold. It really wasn't bad. But her head and stomach weren't that lucky. After the meal, she felt her head become heavier and her stomach began to hurt. She checked her phone 10 times in an hour, and it was finally 8 o'clock. She thought that her bitter days were over, but she never thought that the rain outside the window would become even heavier, but that cold youth didn't come. She didn't know how long passed, but when she came back to her senses, the fried chicken store's waiter told her that they were closing. Looking at her watch, it was already 10:30. The large storm washed every street in the city. She stood at the entrance of the movie theater, and her nose turned sour. She couldn't hold back her tears as they fell down. It turned out that even though she had 15% favorable impression points, in his eyes, she was nothing. Actually, she didn't say that he had to come. In her heart, as long as he could reply to her text, she would be very happy. She could find an excuse to push him away, and she would have the courage and motivation to get close to him again. However, the heavy rain before her made her heart sink to the bottom of the valley. "Didn't you bring an umbrella?" A slightly familiar voice sounded beside her ear, and a dark blue umbrella appeared above her head. Luo Qingshan slightly turned her eyes, slightly frowning in surprise as she muttered, Tang Yu." Tang Yu was slightly taken aback when he saw her turn her gaze. His pitch-black eyes were filled with her figure. Her long hair was draped over her shoulders, and there were light water droplets on her bangs. Her pair of bright eyes were incomparably pure. His heart skipped a beat, and he looked away in embarrassment. "I was just passing by. Do you want me to send you off?" Luo Qingshan sized him up and said without hesitation, "No need." Although this host has been slightly hurt, it doesn't mean that this host has forgotten the experience of the original host. As Qian Feifei's eternal spare tire, Tang Yu suddenly spoke to her out of the blue. She could only conclude with 4 words. Chapter 41. Tang Yu's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. The girl in front of him suddenly became so cold. She was so cold that she didn't even look at him. She was like a completely different person compared to the person who had silently followed him for the past 2 years. "Luo Qingshan, are you playing hard to get?" Tang Yu narrowed his eyes and said softly. He didn't believe that a person could change so quickly. In the past, she liked him so much. No matter what cruel words he said, she would always be by his side and silently watch over him without disturbing him. Sometimes when he saw her silly look, he also felt that she was a bit cute. He suddenly felt that he was a bit stupid. Why didn't he like this girl in the past? Why did he like Qian Feifei so wholeheartedly? Perhaps people were like this. They were always restless when they couldn't get something, but those who were favored were always fearless. One day, when the favored left you, you would realize that you had missed out on the best time and the most suitable person for you. "Do you cough, cough? I need cough, cough. Do I need you?" Luo Qingshan's throat suddenly felt like it was on fire. It was extremely itchy, and the last sentence was almost hysterically shouted out. Her head hurt, and cold sweat slowly flowed down her back. She slightly raised her hand and touched her forehead. Damn it, it was so hot. Right now, she didn't have the mood and didn't have the strength. She didn't want to talk nonsense with Tang Yu. It was better to go home and take a hot bath and drink a cup of 999 cold medicine. Wait. Tang Yu saw that she was about to turn and leave. He was a bit anxious. He directly reached out and grabbed her arm. A faint cold feeling came from his palm. Luo Qingxun only felt that her head was heavy. She couldn't stand steadily and staggered back. Tang Yu reached out his other hand and steadily supported her. His gentle voice sounded in her ear. You don't look too good. I'll send you back. It wasn't a question, but a statement. Luo Qingxun wanted to shake off his hand, but she found that his strength was extremely strong. It seemed like he was faintly angry. Damn it, why was the system angry? The more you can't get, the more you want it. This is a common problem for humans. F***CK, stupid humans. Luo Qingxun clenched her teeth and used all her strength to fling him away. She roared, Tang Yu, are you crazy? Her face was full of anger, and because of her fever, her cheeks were slightly flushed. Her seductive lips were slightly pursed, and she looked cute as if she had been bullied. Tang Yu did not know why, but he suddenly liked the person in front of him very much. She had been asked by Qian Fei to wait for Luo Qingxun at the entrance of the theater while she went to block Su Yangchun. Qian Fei was the representative of the physics class. When she was handing out books in class, she saw a message on Su Yangchun's phone that was signed by Luo Qingxun. The message was very short, but she immediately remembered it with her excellent brain. No, absolutely not. How could she let the two of them date? She made a prompt decision to call Tang Yu and asked him to help ruin the date. As the representative of the physics class, she used the name of the physics teacher to call Su Yangchun to the laboratory on the 4th floor, telling him to wait for the physics teacher. She knew that he was an outstanding student, so even if the physics teacher didn't come, he would still keep waiting. But she never thought that when it was close to 8, he would choose not to wait. Rather, he would call the physics teacher. Teacher, I have some matters to attend to today. If you don't come to the 8th grade experiment this early, can I come to the laboratory to look for you tomorrow? Isn't the 8th grade experiment the day after tomorrow? The teacher's somewhat old voice came from the other side of the phone. Su Yangchun was stunned. His eyes slightly narrowed as he said, I remembered wrong. I won't disturb the teacher's rest. After saying this, he hung up and walked out the door. But he never thought that the laboratory door would be locked from the outside. Qian Fei outside the door gritted her teeth as she thought, if I can't have it, I won't let anyone else have it. Tang Yu, I believe that you can chase Luo Qingxun. Chapter 42. The rain in the sky became heavier, and it didn't seem like it would stop at all. Luo Qingxun took a deep breath and shook her head, trying to clear her mind. Although Tang Yu wasn't a bad person, who knew what kind of crazy things he would do for Qian Fei. Dangerous people, she had to quickly leave. She blinked and the rain fell on her eyelashes. She prepared to charge into the rain. Luo Qingxun. Tang Yu called her name and stepped into the rain before her. He gave the umbrella to her, and the rain instantly soaked him. He bit his lip and said, if you don't want me to give it to you, then the umbrella is for you. She knit her brows and looked at Tang Yu in front of her. She suddenly felt that this person wasn't as bad as she imagined. Although the previous host's death was indirectly caused by him. If it wasn't for him risking his life to save her, the previous host wouldn't have liked him this much. Life, perhaps it was an endless cycle. You like him, he doesn't like you. You love him, he likes you. You leave him, he falls in love with you. Ding, affection has decreased by 5. Mission completion rate is now 10%. What is this? WTF? I feel that Tang Yu isn't as bad as I imagined. Why is the affection decreasing? System, I'm already very cold. Can you stop pouring ice water on my heart? AM. Huh. System notification. The male lead is nearby. What? He actually came. Luo Qingxun never thought that the system would say this to her. Or perhaps she never thought that Su Yangchun would be nearby. Her eyes narrowed, and her right hand forcefully pushed the umbrella away, running into the rain. She bit her lip and shouted in a nasal voice filled with grievance. Su Yang-chun, I know you're nearby. Even if the entire world doesn't know you're here, I know. Let me tell you, I like you to death. Ching-chun, it's impossible for him to be here. Tang Yu ran in her direction into the rain, holding the umbrella for her as he spoke. You know? Why do you know? Luo Ching-chun narrowed her eyes and turned around. She looked at Tang Yu's sparkling eyes in the rain and said, I think that even if you don't say it, I can guess most of it. Ching-chun. He slightly lowered his eyes. The night was dark and the rain kept falling. She couldn't see his expression at this moment, but she could feel the uneasiness in his heart. After a long time, he said softly, Do you all like him that much? Please remove the word we. Your Qian Fei doesn't deserve to be on the same level as me. Luo Ching-chun gave a cold snort. She looked at the dark night and said in her final hoarse voice, Su Yang-chun, listen well, I, Luo Ching-chun, like you until the end of time. If you take a step back, I'll take 10. Her throat already couldn't make a single sound when she said the last few words. Hong long. A thunderous sound rang in her ears. She slightly turned around, and her eyes had a calm that normal people didn't have as she looked at Tang Yu and said, Go back and tell Qian Fei that I definitely won't let her go. After saying this, Luo Ching-chun turned to leave. Her hands were in the pockets of her uniform, and her back was straight, not showing a trace of weakness. Tang Yu was frozen in place. Seeing her like this, there were ripples that had never appeared in his heart before. Chapter 43. She didn't know how she got home. She just knew that she had been drenched in the rain. When she got home, it was already dark in front of her. Lying in bed, her forehead was burning like it was on fire. She could hear her parents' anxious voices in her ears, but in front of her was a dark night filled with demons and monsters. In her dream, she was wearing a large red robe, standing in a large dark temple. The green light of the candles burned endlessly. All the demons and monsters bowed to her, and the flower on her forehead was incomparably beautiful. She raised her hand, and the candles were extinguished, causing the demons and monsters to tremble. Luo Ching-chun suddenly opened her eyes and sat up, finding that she was completely soaked. Touching her forehead, it wasn't hot anymore. Miss Su quickly ran in when she heard the noise. Seeing that she was awake, she anxiously asked, Is my baby better? Much better. Luo Ching-chun said with a nod. Where's Dad? Your father stayed with you the whole night and didn't sleep. He only went to sleep after your fever subsided in the early morning. Madame Su handed the medicine to her and said, Drink it first. I've already asked for leave for you. Muah, thank you, Mom. Luo Ching-chun pursed her lips, feeling very happy in her heart. With this kind of parent, she was willing to stay in the ivory tower for her entire life, being a baby that never grew up. I only have you as my daughter. What are you thanking me for? Madame Su's eyes were filled with the gentleness of a loving mother. As she helped her change into a new set of clothes, she continued, Your homeroom teacher was also very funny. She even asked me if your daughter was in a relationship recently. Poochie, Luo Ching-chun almost spat out the medicine in her mouth. Her eyes opened wide as she asked, Why did she ask this? Miss Su also had a confused look. I also asked her this, and she said that she received an anonymous letter saying that you were dating the top student of the science class. She didn't believe it at first, but you both asked for leave today, so she suspected that you both asked for leave to go on a date. Damn Qian Fei, this small report really came at the right time. No, why did Su Liangchen also ask for leave? Madame Su looked at her daughter's frown and said with a righteous expression, Baby, don't worry. I answered your teacher very seriously. I said that my daughter had a fever of 40 degrees and was lying in bed, unable to move. The person who wrote the anonymous letter is too immoral. One look, and I can tell that he's the kind of person who says grapes are sour, because he can't eat them. Looking at her mother standing up for her so righteously, Luo Ching-chun couldn't help laughing. Her mother was so nice. However, she was still very confused. Why did Su Liangchen ask for leave? Tang Yu's appearance last night must have been instructed by Qian Fei. Then, Luo Qingchun slightly knit her brows as she desperately tried to remember Su Yongchen's home address. It seemed to be the Golden Manor courtyard. Something. Hey, system, do you remember? Host, if you want a detailed address, you can exchange it with exchange points. Your head is filled with thoughts of scamming me on my exchange points, you. Do it. A dream. Wasn't it just the Jinfu courtyard? Wasn't it enough to just block people at a certain intersection? She had done this kind of thing many times before. In the afternoon, Luo Qingchun took advantage of the fact that her parents were still taking a nap. She put on a brown rabbit ear jacket and tiptoed out of the house. She used her cell phone to locate the Jinfu courtyard's location. She boarded the bus and headed to her destination. But when she stood at the entrance of the Jinfu courtyard, she was still stunned. A chocolate-colored duplex mansion. As expected, male god Su was not only good-looking, he was 182 centimeters tall, had top grades, and was also very rich. Chapter 44. But one had to use a card to enter the gate. There were 4 guards at the gate, so it seemed like the gate was very tight. Luo Qingchun turned her head and went to the burger store next door to buy some fried chicken. After packing it up, she took a deep breath and walked towards the gate. What are you doing? Guard number 1 directly came forward to stop her, looking a bit fierce. Delivery, I didn't see you. Luo Qingchun raised the bag in her hand as she gave a cold snort. How many buildings are you delivering? Guard number 2 also came forward with a frown. He even asked a very mathematical question. Luo Qingchun was stunned. Damn, these guards were quite meticulous. Forget it, just randomly pick one. Building number 7, 301. Luo Qingchun's eyes lit up as she spoke. As soon as he said those words, number 3 and number 4 walked out with an incredulous look on their faces. They were whispering to each other, but Luo Qingchun couldn't hear what they were saying. But she was also very confused. Even if there was a problem with the guard number she reported, there shouldn't be such a large-scale discussion. System, why are they discussing this for so long? The Golden House Courtyard's building number 7, 301, is a haunted house. 5 people have died in 4 years, and no one has asked about it in a year. The system was clearly looking down on a certain person's intelligence. My God, what kind of luck is this? Why isn't my luck this good when buying lottery tickets? This treasure is very aggrieved, but this treasure won't say it. That, I might have said something wrong. I should have seen it. It should be building number 8, 301. Luo Qingchun blinked and instantly changed her words. Oh, the guard seemed to believe her a bit, but guard number 2 still asked, what is the name of the person who made the order? Damn, why is he asking me about the person who made the order? Su Yongchun. There was no other way. She could only do this. Go and investigate. Guard number 2 said to guard number 3 behind him. No need. There was a familiar voice that came from behind the door. The cool-as-water voice was very pleasant to hear. He put his right hand wrapped in gauze into his pocket and slightly knit his brows. The young girl's face was a bit pale, and she wasn't wearing enough clothes. You were drenched in the rain yesterday. Why didn't you stay at home and rest today? Why did you come out? Luo Qingchun awkwardly stretched out her hand and said with a smile, Hi. Seeing Su Yongchun, the guard opened the side door and didn't make it hard for Luo Qingchun. Luo Qingchun walked to his side, lowered her head slightly, and blinked her eyes in panic. You leave first. Su Yongchun said to her with slightly narrowed eyes. Luo Qingchun didn't know why he wanted her to go first, but she still did it and walked in front of him. He let her walk in front because he didn't want her to find out that his foot was injured. When she came to a pavilion, Su Yongchun called out to her, Come back. He leaned against the vermilion pillar of the pavilion with his hands in his pockets and his eyes slightly closed. The sunlight poured down on his long eyelashes like a waterfall. It was so quiet and beautiful. Luo Qingchun looked at his beautiful face, and her lips curled into a faint smile. To him, in this moment, seemed like he was glowing. Classmate Su, yesterday you. Luo Qingchun's face turned a bit red, and her hands kept turning back and forth. I thought that if I didn't reply, you would understand. It seems like I've overestimated your intelligence. Su Yongchun turned and looked at her with cold eyes. Looking at his cold expression, She felt a wave of pain in her heart. But if she really thought too much, why would he go to the theater last night? So, you didn't come last night, right? You don't know if I went or not. Did you wait for me? Su Yongchen's lips were thin as he looked at her and asked this back. All right, so you're pretending to be cold. Of course this host knows if you came or not. Although my system is stingy and useless, affection can't lie. With the system in hand, although I don't rule the world. But this host is very clear on whether you came or not. Her eyes slightly lit up as she suddenly thought of a method. Chapter 45. That's right. How could school hunk Su have someone he likes? Luo Qing pursed her lips and said, I know. Thinking about it, the rain last night allowed me to see that Tang Yu is not a bad person. As soon as her voice fell, Luo Qingchun felt a trace of coldness in the air. The boy leaning against the pillar in front of her slightly knit his brows. He walked towards her step by step with a trace of anger in his eyes. Did this person only have this little bit of patience? She was still confessing in the rain last night, saying that she liked him. It hadn't even been 24 hours, and it had already changed? Tang Yu was really this gentle and outstanding, making her fall in love with someone else this quickly? So, classmate Luo has a new lover? His hands were in his pockets, as if he didn't plan on stopping. He walked forward and she moved back, until there was a wall behind her and she couldn't move back. He finally stopped. His right hand slapped the wall and directly cabinet. Luo Qingqin's heart trembled. Her breathing became faster and her eyelashes slightly trembled as she looked at Su Liangchun in front of her. He was very close to her, so close that she could clearly see his white cheeks. Deep eyes, long and slender eyelashes, a tall nose, and thin lips. Everything was that handsome, that good-looking. Cool. She cleared her throat and softly shook her head, dispelling male god Su's bewitching spell. She slightly nodded and pursed her lips as she said, How could he be considered a new lover? He has always been an old lover. Liking Tang Yu isn't a matter of just 1 or 2 days. I've already waited for 2 years. Now that he's suddenly showing goodwill to me, it can be considered fulfilling those words. What? His voice was ice cold and his eyes were half closed, looking like he was examining her. Luo Qingchun knew that he was angry, but she didn't know why, but she secretly felt happy in her heart. The most exciting thing in this world is when the person you thought you would never have a chance to approach actually fell in love with you. She looked up at him with incomparable certainty in her clear eyes. Then go and be with him. His breathing was no longer as steady as before, finally showing a bit of emotion. Why did he feel so angry in his heart, as well as a trace of unwillingness? In the past, he had always turned a blind eye to this kind of thing and never cared about it. It wasn't that he hadn't been so aggressive with girls before, but he always treated them coldly and never stopped. But in front of him, she couldn't control her emotions. Fine, I'll go. Before she could finish speaking, a hurried yet gentle kiss landed on her soft lips. She froze on the spot, her cheeks quickly flushed red, her mind completely blank, her heart and all the blood in her body beating nonstop. She instinctively closed her eyes and waited until the man's anger slowly disappeared before he let go of her. Do you still want to go? Su Yongchun narrowed his eyes and looked at the young girl in front of him. Her breathing was a little hurried, and her eyes were blinking as if to demonstrate her nervousness. She lowered her head shyly, which was especially cute. Ding! Affection has increased by 40. Mission completion rate is now 50%. Damn, system, you're really something. I will definitely treat you better in the future. Su Yongchun saw that she didn't say anything and looked at her dry lips. Thinking that this girl was still sick, he turned to go to the supermarket next door to buy her a bottle of water. But he never thought that after taking a single step, she would call out to him. Su Yongchun. Her sweet voice called out his name. She reached out her right hand to grab the black tie on his shirt and softly pulled it in her direction. She tiptoed and directly kissed him. Kissing me. I have to return it no matter what. The host wants to be close, but you still need to find an excuse. Chapter 46. The warm sun shined down on their faces, and the warm wind blew over their clothes. There was a faint grass fragrance in the air. That harmonious, That perfect match. I like you. Her right hand softly let go of his tie, and her bright eyes looked right at him. She didn't dodge or panic. Rather, she was strangely calm and serious. I know. Su Yongchen's lips curled into a faint smile as he said, You've said it many times. So do you like me? Luo Qingchen blinked as she asked this. Su Yongchen took back his right hand. She narrowed her eyes and saw the gauze. You're injured? Luo Qingchen looked at his right hand that was covered in blood and said in a shocked voice, You asked for leave because of your hand. His voice was very calm, as if he didn't care about his injury at all. Luo Qingchen thought for a moment and said, You didn't come to the theater last night because you were injured, right? Su Yongchen limped over to a chair in the pavilion to the side as he spoke. Your foot is also injured. What happened? I wasn't careful when I jumped and didn't step properly. It seems like there's some content related to gravity and resistance. I need to properly read the textbook again. Su Yongchen said with a shrug. But I really want to know, why were you so certain that I was around you last night? Because I have the system. The system is shamelessly deducting your favorability towards me. Host, if you say this, he will definitely think that your brain is broken. Che, do you think I'm stupid? I'm saying this for you to hear. Shameless. Do you understand shameless? Taking advantage of people's difficulties. Luo Qingchen looked at his probing eyes and cleared her throat as she said, Our hearts are connected. This reason isn't professional enough. Su Yongchen looked at her slightly pouted lips and said, I'll tell you after the inspection next week. Tell me what? Luo Qingchen was stunned. She had clearly forgotten the question she had just asked him. Forget it if you forgot. Don't. She tried hard to recall. Just now. She seemed to have asked him if he liked her. Her eyes lit up, and she immediately said, I will work hard to get close to your results. There's no need for that. Su Yongchen's lips curled into a faint smile as he said, I've never made it hard for a person to do something that she could never do in her life. System. Is he saying that my results will never be able to come close to his? Very obvious. Humph. System, you should have something that can instantly raise a person's IQ. No. How could he have such a thing? You're looking down on me. Luo Qingchen pursed her lips, looking as if she had been wronged. I'm not looking down on you. I'm just respecting the truth. You should get out of the bottom 50 first. Luo Qingchen was stunned. Prince Charming Su was so free that he even knew that she was in the bottom 50. He thought to himself, ever since she suddenly appeared in front of him, he had been silently paying attention to her results. To be honest, it was indeed too horrible to look at. As a science student, he had simulated her test, and his scores were double hers. He really didn't know what she had been doing in high school. Could it be that she really spent all her time on liking Tangyu? Thinking of this, he didn't know why his heart felt stuffy and very uncomfortable. Just wait and see. I'll definitely make you gasp at the inspection next week. Luo Qingchen stomped her foot in anger. Even if she was a top student, she couldn't bully a bottom student like this. What could a bottom student do? Her grades weren't good, her parents didn't love her, and her teachers didn't care about her. She was also filled with despair. Chapter 47. For the next week, Luo Qingchen worked hard to study. She had some thoughts that she didn't tell anyone. Oh, of course, that didn't include her system. System, I found that I can work hard on math, but I'm not good at English. Do you have any memory Rubik's Cube that can quickly memorize English words? Yes, memory bread. It requires 200 exchange points. The system's cold mechanical voice rang out. God, system, you're raising the price. Why does the piano skill only require 100 and the memory bread requires 200? Precious. The memory bread is a second-grade item. The host can choose if you want to exchange. Yes/no. Kind people are bullied. Exchange, exchange, exchange. If I don't exchange, can I shock everyone? Ding, 200 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for 100 slices of memory bread can only be used in this world. How did she use this memory bread? Seeing the pile of bread in front of her, Luo Qingchen was a bit stunned. Stick it on a vocabulary list in your English textbook and then eat it. Eat, eat, eat. WTF. How much did she have to eat? Eat as many words as you want to remember. The system completely ignored her collapsing mood. She let out a long sigh of relief and sat up straight. Looking at the bread in front of her, she forced out a faint smile. In order to be closer to Su Yang-chun, in order to avoid the breakup season of the third year, she had to work hard. After a night of eating hard, Luo Qingchun expressed that she didn't want to eat bread again in this life. Giving a yawn, she picked up her bag and prepared to leave. Passing through her dining room, her body trembled. The breakfast on the table was actually milk and bread. Baby, eat breakfast before going to school. Miss Su saw that she was in a rush to leave, so she brought the bread and milk to the door, preparing to put it in her bag. Oh, her stomach churned as she waved her hand and said, "Mom, I'm very full." After saying this, she charged out of the kitchen and kept her distance from the bread. There was a new round of quality inspection this morning. Luo Qingchen arrived at school early and knocked on the door to the teacher's office. She handed over a transfer application. That's right. She wanted to transfer from the liberal arts class to the science class. Chief Duan pushed up his glasses and carefully read the description of Luo Qingchen's transfer application. Finally, he focused on the last sentence. I promise that if the City Quality Inspection School gives me a chance to participate in the science exam, I will definitely rise from the bottom 50 to the top 50. Get the school to agree to let me transfer and become a science student. Student Luo Qingchun, this is a major academic matter. It's not as easy as choosing a cucumber or a carrot. You have to think carefully. Principal Duan glanced at Luo Qingchun's past grades. Perhaps she was right. She wasn't suitable for liberal arts. Yes, I've thought it through. Luo Qingchun nodded and said, I hope Chief Duan will let me try it once. I also hope that my results will improve so that I can work hard for my future and for the school's honor. The host is really unscrupulous in order to achieve her goals. The system's sudden words scared her half to death. F***CK. When I was speaking so righteously, you suddenly interrupted me. You'll scare me. All right. Chief Duan heard her hot-blooded words and couldn't help saying in an excited voice, but there will be an exam this morning, so the seats will be arranged according to the liberal arts class. I will explain this to the invigilator. Student Luo Qingchun, you have to work hard. Thank you, Chief Duan. She gave a 90-degree bow as her lips curled into a deep smile. Su Yang-chun, I'm working hard in your direction. Can you see it? Chapter 48. Luo Qingchun sat at her seat and looked left and right. Finally, her line of sight stopped at the back left, and she revealed a happy smile in her heart. Her luck was really good. She was actually in the same exam room as Su Yang-chun. She felt a bit distracted watching her male god take the exam. Su Yang-chun saw her shaking her head and slightly knit his brows. Why didn't you check your exam ticket and exam supplies before the exam? What are you looking left and right for? Luo Qingchun saw his slightly knit brows and pursed her lips. She thought, what's wrong with looking so fierce? Looking won't cause me to lose a piece of meat. He looked at her aggrieved appearance and couldn't help finding it funny. His thin lips whispered, good girl. Luo Qingchun understood his silent lips. She turned around and straightened her back, waiting for the exam papers to be passed around. What was a coincidence was that Xian Fei was also in the same exam room. She saw the interaction between Luo Qingchun and Su Yang-chun and gritted her teeth. She secretly took out her cell phone and pressed the camera button. The first exam was English. Luo Qingchun asked herself how much memory bread she had eaten, so she should give her something in return. However, the facts were not like this. The questions were not hard, and she could answer almost every question. It was just that her stomach felt uncomfortable. It should be because she had eaten too much bread. Her left hand pressed her stomach, and her right hand raised the pen to write the words one by one. There were beads of sweat on her forehead. It really hurt. She took a deep breath and blinked her eyes. She focused and wrote the questions. Teacher, I want to hand in my paper. When Luo Qingchun turned to the fourth page to read the comprehension questions, a cold voice came from behind her. She suddenly looked up at the clock on the wall. It had only been less than an hour. No matter how powerful he was, it was impossible for him to finish all the questions already. The invigilator knit his brows and said in a serious voice, "Check it again." Although he was a top student, he shouldn't be this fast. This was the most difficult exam this year. She didn't know that Su Yang-chun stood up and placed the paper on the podium before walking out of the classroom. Luo Qingshun looked at his back and was very puzzled. What was the brain of a top student made of? In the next second, she gently shook her head to prevent her thoughts from being taken away and causing her stomach to hurt even more. She quickly lowered her head and started writing. After finishing the last word of the essay, Luo Qingshun let out a long sigh of relief. She looked at the clock. There was still half an hour left. The next exam was physics. In her current state, she might fail the exam. However, if they were to hand in their papers now, they wouldn't have enough time to buy some medicine. After all, the pharmacy was too far away from their school. After a fierce struggle, Luo Qingshun decided to sit still and conserve her strength. All students, stop writing, stand up, and hand in your papers. The invigilator's voice rang through the classroom, and Luo Qingshun, who was about to fall asleep, almost jumped up in fright. After handing in the papers, some students chose to walk out of the classroom to relax, while some students took out the content of the next exam to review. Luo Qingshun was lying on the table, thinking about her bread life. She narrowed her eyes and planned on taking a nap, but the medicine box on the table made her quickly sit up. Take your medicine first. There's no hot water nearby, so you can only use mineral water. Drink less. He opened the medicine box, and his slender fingers took out 2 pills, placing them in Luo Qingshun's hand. Luo Qingshun was stunned as she stared at him in a daze. She mechanically took the medicine like a system as her eyes misted over. So he already saw that she wasn't feeling well, so he handed in his paper ahead of time to buy medicine for her. Chapter 49. Don't look, eat first. Su Yang-chun seemed like he couldn't stand being stared at like this. His face turned a bit red, and he looked away in embarrassment. Luo Qingshun swallowed the medicine and drank 2 mouthfuls of water before saying with a smile, "Thank you, but is it really all right? You're English. I could still do better than you in half an hour. Relax." His lips curled into a faint smile as he spoke. That might not be the case. Luo Qingshun gave a proud snort and said, "We'll see on the public rankings." "You're this confident?" "Of course." Luo Qingshun's mind turned. It was like she suddenly thought of something as she pursed her lips and said, "If my English is better than yours, you have to promise me something." Su Yang-chun wanted to reject her. After all, if she wanted to enter H University with good grades, she would need to spend a lot of time studying. But thinking about it, there was no harm in agreeing. After all, it was impossible for her grades to be better than his. "Speak." His eyes slightly lit up as he looked into her eyes and said this. Without knowing why, he felt that her eyes were especially beautiful. They were clear without a trace of impurities. Date. Her eyes were filled with expectation. Her lips curled into a faint smile, and her slightly pursed lips made one's heart unconsciously beat. Su Yang-chun should be glad that they were in the exam room. If it was any other place, he didn't dare guarantee that he wouldn't be able to suppress the little monster in his heart. "Kiss her." He gave a soft unsound. Although it was very soft, she still heard it. His heart was filled with joy. Qian Fei behind him saw everything. She put the cell phone that she shouldn't have brought into the exam room into the deepest part of her pocket, and her lips curled into a cold smile. After eating the medicine, Luo Qingshun felt much better. Although she wasn't good at physics, she had put in a lot of effort. She didn't understand 2 of the big questions, but the rest were all done smoothly. The exam lasted for a total of 3 days. Because it was close to New Year's, the teacher stayed overnight to mark the papers. On the 4th day, the school released the red list. Luo Qingshun had scored 148 points in English and was ranked 1st. She was ranked 48th in the science section. Looking at the red list, she smiled. She was very satisfied with this result. However, she received an anonymous letter in the principal's office, which made her feel that the world was not good again. The content of the letter was long, but it could be summed up in one sentence. She cheated. The informant had even sent a picture of her whispering to the year's first place, Su Yang-chun, before the exam. But the informant had already disappeared. In the principal's office. Student Luo Qingchun. The school shouldn't have suspected you without an investigation. But because your results in the city's quality inspection are too different from the last time, let alone physics and chemistry, your English, the principal, who was wearing gold-rimmed glasses, had a worried expression. Principal Luo Qingchun wanted to curse him, but Su Yongchun cut her off. Her face, which was twisted with anger, instantly froze. Su Yongchun cleared his throat and said, "According to the anonymous letter, I should have given the answer to student Luo Qingchun, but in the English exam, my score wasn't as high as hers. Not to mention that the 2 points she deducted should have been on her essay. The English teacher should be clear on what level her essay was at. This is indeed reasonable." The principal pushed up his glasses and nodded in understanding. Moreover, Su Yongchun picked up the picture on the table and narrowed his eyes as he said, "From the angle of this picture, it should have been taken by the student sitting 2 seats behind student Luo Qingchun. Let me ask, did she bring a camera or a cell phone into the exam room?" Chapter 50. 15 minutes later, according to the map of Luo Qingchun's examination room, the principal called the person 2 seats behind Luo Qingchun to the office. The rumored perpetrator, Qian Feifei. Of course, she would not admit it even if she was beaten to death. She insisted that she had never seen this photo. "Qian Feifei, you really have never seen this photo?" The principal looked at her to confirm again. "Principal, I already said that I have never seen it. I guess some living lay phone couldn't bear to see someone cheating, so he bravely offered his help." Qian Feifei crossed her arms in front of her chest and rolled her eyes up to the sky. "Hey, this idiom is quite amazing. Lying through her teeth, doesn't her conscience hurt?" Of course it doesn't. Moreover, her English grades have always been good. The host has surpassed her this time, so her heart is full of anger. The system explained with rare patience. If it's full, then it's full. You can't blame me for not doing well. Ahem. Luo Qingchun cleared her throat and said, "I have an uncle who works in the police identification department. Since you have never seen this photo, then there shouldn't be your fingerprints on it, right?" Hashtag the host brings you into science. Rationally solving cases. Hashtag Qian Feifei heard this, and her face instantly changed. How could a small fry like her think about fingerprints? When she took the photo, she naturally didn't wear gloves or anything. "What? You have nothing to say?" Luo Qingchun narrowed her eyes and looked at her. "Bringing a phone into the examination room will be a big demerit. Qian Feifei, are you ready?" No matter how rude and unreasonable Qian Feifei was, at this moment, she was still a student. Luo Qingchun's words were pressing step by step, coupled with the principal's scrutinizing eyes. After a few seconds, she threw in the towel and surrendered. "Principal, I admit that this photo was taken by me." Qian Feifei stared hard at Luo Qingchun and pointed at her. "But this person must have cheated. Principal, think about it. Her previous grades were as bad as SH*T. How could she suddenly do so well this time? Damn, you're the SH*T. Your whole district is SH*T. System, was this person's brain struck by lightning?" Principal. Su Yongchun had been watching from the side for a long time. Finally, after Qian Feifei finished speaking, he said, "You can record it." As expected, it was fast, accurate, and ruthless. Prince Charming Su's point of view and purpose were quite clear, which was to give Qian Feifei a demerit. "All right, I understand." After a long while, the principal nodded and said, "She will definitely be given a demerit, but since Qian Feifei didn't use her phone to do anything substantial, she will be given a small demerit for the time being. She will be criticized during the year." Principal. Qian Feifei was so angry that she almost jumped up. She gritted her teeth and said, "Do you believe that if you give Luo Qingchun another paper, she won't be able to write anything? Her score will still be 30 or 40 points, and she will still be completely guessing with multiple choice questions." She couldn't take it lying down that a person whose grades were so trashy in the past could steal her Prince Charming just because she was good-looking. Do people nowadays all look at appearances like that? Shouldn't they look at their hearts? Then let's compete. Luo Qingchun looked over and crossed her hands. There was a faint and incomparably confident smile on her lips. We'll both be in the same exam room, and we'll write an English test. The entire school will broadcast this. Do you dare? Why wouldn't I dare? Would I be afraid of a trash like you? Qian Feifei gave a cold laugh as her lips curled as she spoke. This suggestion for Qian Feifei was simply too perfect. She wanted to see how Luo Qingchun would cheat in front of everyone. Chapter 51. Her and Qian Feifei's English test was set for tomorrow at noon, and the test paper was the City Quality Inspection Test Paper B. It had to be said that the difficulty of the B test paper was even higher than the A test paper. Walking out of the principal's office, the sunlight was just right. Luo Qingchun closed her eyes and took a deep breath before saying to Su Yangchun beside her with a smile, "Let's go back to class. Let's go back to our classes." His hands were in his pockets. Under the sunlight, he looked especially handsome. Without knowing why, his mood was a bit happy. Perhaps it was because the promised date was coming, or perhaps it was because there was a trace of expectation in his boring and mechanical life. Suddenly, he began to look forward to the alarm clock ringing every morning. He looked forward to seeing her back at a certain corner of the school gate. He looked forward to receiving the passionate gazes of the gossipy crowd when he walked with her, and he looked forward to seeing her every day. So school days were even more cheerful than rest days. He sat in his seat thinking like this in his heart when the teacher walked in. "Today, our class welcomes a new student from the liberal arts class. Her test results are much better than most of the people here." The teacher's voice slowly sounded in Su Yangchen's ears. His heart was actually a bit excited, as his heart began to beat fast with the teacher's voice. "Everyone, please give a round of applause to welcome student Luo Qingchun." After that, her figure appeared in his line of sight. She was wearing a plaid school uniform with a faint smile on her lips. She slightly narrowed her eyes, and her eyes were fixed on him. Pa, pa, pa. There was a round of warm applause. Of course, the only person who didn't clap was Qian Feifei. She looked at Tang Yu and found that Tang Yu's applause was louder than anyone else's. There was a smile on his lips, and his eyes seemed like they were glowing. Qian Feifei couldn't help raising her fist and forcefully hitting the wall. The result was that the wall didn't move, and she was in so much pain. When the surrounding boys saw Luo Qingchun, they couldn't help being excited. After all, male hormones couldn't stop the charm of a beauty. Not to mention that she was a great beauty on the school flower level. Damn, the school flower is transferring to our class. Then wouldn't our class be the representative of beauty in the future? So powerful, transferring in the third year of high school, and her grades are still this good. I'm so envious of people with good looks and brains. Ah, I heard that the school belle doesn't have a boyfriend? Hey, everyone has a chance. Su Yangchun could easily ignore the first part, but the last part made him slightly knit his brows. So, where does student Luo Qingchun want to sit? The homeroom teacher of science class 1 wasn't a very rigid person. This sentence seemed to be asking for everyone's opinion. "Teacher, the seat beside me is empty." "Teacher, here, there's no one here." "Teacher, my desk mate's feet are smelly. I want new desk mate. F***CK. I didn't even complain about your body odor, but you complain about my feet." "Teacher, my neighbor might get sick in a few days." "Who said I would get sick?" There were very few girls in the science class to begin with. Now that a girl had suddenly turned up, and she was even the school belle, she naturally became the focus of everyone's attention. Looking at everyone's noisy appearance, Luo Qingchun's mouth raised a smile. It seemed that other than Qian Feifei, who was a little annoying, the others were not bad. Chapter 52. Before transferring to the science class, she had silently investigated it. Su Yangchun didn't have a desk mate from first to third years. This was because he had told the teacher that any desk mate would affect his studies. Of course, the teacher agreed to his request. After all, his grades were always first in the year, so he would definitely bring glory to the school in the future. "That," the teacher said in an awkward voice. "The position beside Su Yangchun can't be." "Teacher, it's fine." His clear-as-water voice came from her left ear, instantly numbing her heart. Ding! affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 60%. Huh. It seems like male god Sue likes me quite a bit. The affection came again like this. I'm a bit embarrassed. Ha. Host, please don't laugh too much. Humph, what do you know? This treasure has gone from 0% to 60%. So what if I laugh a few times in my heart? Is it disturbing you from eating? The system doesn't eat. The system's heart was filled with bitterness. This is your approach? Su Yang-chun was writing while asking in a soft voice. The sunlight outside the window fell onto her white face. He slightly looked at her and was a bit absent-minded. So her so-called approach was actually transferring to another department. A liberal arts student who could be ranked in the bottom 50 because of rote memorization was actually transferring to a science department that relied on logical thinking for him. It really was moving. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 70%. System, let's not waste words. You're great. If I disturb you from eating next time, remind me. Our relationship is this good, it's very easy for me to laugh in my heart. The system really doesn't eat. The system was speechless. Have you ever seen a computer eat? Humph. Eat it if you want, save money. Luo Qingshun calmed her heart and pursed her lips. There was a deep smile in her eyes as she replied to Su Liang-chan beside her. Of course, after all, the pavilion closest to the water enjoys moonlight first. Wrong. What's wrong? Luo Qingshun recalled what she had just said. There was nothing wrong with it. She expressed that her language skills were not bad. All right? This question asks you to calculate that if x has extreme values at x equals 1 and x equals 3, then the skew rate of each point on the image won't exceed that much. Su Yang-chan drew the black pen across Luo Qingshun's test book and said, I think that if you wrote x equals 3, you should return to the liberal arts class tomorrow. Luo Qingshun was stunned. She looked down at her notebook and quickly erased the words. Then she said softly, You can't blame me. It's human nature. When you're talking, you might unconsciously write it down. What's wrong with that? Haven't you heard of it before? Preposterous logic. Su Yang-chun quickly wrote down his solution to the problem on a piece of paper for her and said, As my deskmate, it's far from being enough as long as you're ranked 48. What? Luo Qingshun felt that there was a mouthful of blood in her heart. She almost spat it out. The quality inspection has just ended. Can't we do something more relaxing? For example, his brows relaxed, and his lips curled into a faint smile. Actually, he knew what she wanted to say. Seeing her eyes filled with expectation, he didn't know why his heart was filled with softness. A date. Luo Qingshun's clear eyes sparkled, and her long lashes trembled. The so-called dating was the main motivation for studying, so she had to follow it to the end. Chapter 53. Sunday. The sun was just right. Don't ask her why she had to go to school on Sunday. Third-year high school students didn't have the right to have holidays. When she arrived at school, she directly went to report to the principal's office. Qian Fei was already there with an arrogant appearance, making people want to spit out the vegetable buns they ate this morning. That's right. She changed her breakfast recently. She changed from milk bread to soy milk and vegetable buns. A meeting room, 3 invigilators, and 2 180-degree cameras without any blind spots. The footage would be synchronized to the large screen on the school field for the students to see. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, no one dared to cheat. The principal felt that his decision this time was very correct. One was a student who brought a cell phone into the exam room, and the other was a student whose grades had soared. Both students were suspected of cheating, and this time's exam, not only did it test their abilities, it also gave them a chance to prove themselves. The exam took a total of 120 minutes. After handing in the paper, the invigilators would mark it and the results would be announced immediately. Luo Qingshun closed her eyes and organized the stationary and listening headphones for the exam. Everything was prepared. Other than the 30 minutes she used for the listening test, Luo Qingshun only used around 40 minutes to write the rest of the paper. Although this was considered slow compared to Su Yang-chun, her score was still higher than his. She could finally beat Su Yang-chun again. Although it was a bit unfair. It's good that you know. The system couldn't keep listening to her inner monologue as it replied. Humph. Effort will be rewarded. Do you think I ate all that bread for nothing? When the pen fell on the last word, Luo Qingshun stood up. Her eyes slightly moved as she looked at Qian Fei, who was still reading the second page, before walking to the podium. She looked up and handed in the paper. Everything was this confident. She walked downstairs and went around the security line, looking at the youth waiting for her under the pear blossom tree. He slightly looked up and his lips revealed a faint smile. This was his first time smiling at her. This kind of smile, it was very, very warm. The spectators on the school field all revealed looks of disbelief. This Luo Qingxin speed was simply too fast. She only used 70 minutes to finish it. Don't be surprised. It's probably a random answer. A person with good English pushed up his glasses and said, "You don't say that the grapes are sour just because you can't eat them." A woman next to her rolled her eyes and retorted. The two invigilators took a look at Luo Qingxin's test paper and couldn't take their eyes off it. The English words written by this beautiful handwriting were actually all correct. The difficulty of Volume B was higher than that of Volume A. This time, Luo Qingxin raised her own style and wrote an impassioned essay. All kinds of good words and sentences were used with great pleasure. After 10 minutes of proofreading the answers, the invigilator finally wrote down the score on Luo Qingxin's answer sheet. The screen on the field shook, and the red pen swiped across the screen. The students all held their breaths and stared. 150, damn, full marks. The students were boiling with excitement. Whether they knew her or not, they all applauded for her. She was slightly stunned and frowned. Why are they clapping? Why did it give people the feeling that she was a D silk beauty? Was this treasure the white X beauty? It should be because your score is out. Su Liang-chun looked at the rowdy people on the field and couldn't help feeling a bit uncomfortable. He turned to another path and said, "Let's go this way." Chapter 54. At the same time, Qian Fei, who was still in the exam room, couldn't sit still. For the sake of fairness, the invigilator did not tell Qian Fei about Luo Qingxin's results, giving her her own space to answer the questions. But how could her heart calm down? This exam was a bit difficult. Seeing Luo Qingxin easily finish it, her heart became even more flustered. Time passed bit by bit, but she still hadn't finished writing her essay. Her mind was completely blank, and she couldn't even spell out the word banana. "Time's up. Hand in your paper." The invigilator's solemn voice came from the podium, making her have no choice but to stop writing. "Teacher, can my results surpass Luo Qingxin's?" Qian Fei's heart was incomparably nervous. The teacher hadn't seen her paper yet, and although she hadn't finished the essay and the last part of the reading comprehension, there shouldn't be any big problems with the first part. The invigilator looked at her and looked over her blank essay as he said, "You can't." "Teacher, you haven't even marked my paper yet. How can you jump to a conclusion?" Qian Fei was a bit angry. At least she had to finish marking before she could see who won and who lost. It was still unknown right now, so why was this teacher so certain? The invigilator pushed up his golden-framed glasses and said with an expressionless face, "Because she got full marks." "What?" Qian Fei shook her head and said in a voice of disbelief, "I don't believe you. Let me see your paper." Student Qian Fei, is this the respect a student should have for a teacher? The invigilator's voice was very loud as he roared. "I will tell the principal that this time it won't be as simple as a teacher's reprimand." Qian Fei was stunned. She pursed her lips and was about to cry. After all, a student was a student in the end. No matter how bad a student was, as long as the teacher or their parents roared at them, they would feel wronged in their hearts. But so what? Evil people have their retribution. "You don't have class in the morning?" Luo Qingxin jogged after Su Liang-chun and asked in a soft voice. Why did she feel that he wasn't happy? Why? Could it be that he didn't want to go on a date with her? Su Liang-chun could feel the grievance of the person behind him. He revealed a faint, bitter smile and felt that his anger was unreasonable. Ah, Luo Qingxin had been walking with her head down. She didn't expect the person in front of her to suddenly stop, and she bumped into his broad back. She looked up and gently touched her nose. Why did you suddenly stop walking? Waiting for you. Su Yang-chun put her hand down and leaned in to look at her nose. He didn't know if this bump had hurt her. Suddenly, she felt a little heartache. If he had known earlier, he would have walked slower. If he had known earlier, he would not have stopped at the last moment. Luo Qingchun was startled. She stood stiffly in place. The male god in front of her was less than 5 centimeters away from her. She could clearly see his focused eyes, long eyelashes, and those irresistible thin lips. What are you thinking that your face is this red? Su Yangchen's lips slightly curled, revealing a faint smile. She blinked her eyes in a panic and said, "It's red." So classmate Luo's face is in front of your nose? Su Yangchun revealed a faint smile, seeing her trying to hide her shyness. Why was it so cute? Why was it so moving? He suddenly felt that it was a pity. Why didn't he go to the liberal arts class back then? That way, he could have met her earlier. Chapter 55. I know. Luo Qingchun rubbed the back of her head and deliberately changed the topic. What are we eating? What do you want to eat? He walked to her left, matching her pace. Kentucky Fried Chicken. Luo Qingchun's eyes lit up as she spoke. Her stomach was suddenly very hungry. She wanted to eat grilled chicken. She wanted to eat chicken. She wanted to eat. Eating junk food is not good for your brain. When she thought of these two things, Su Yangchen's words instantly poured a bucket of cold water over her. Seeing that she didn't say anything, he added, "You can eat it occasionally. Eat. Hearing this, Luo Qingchun instantly looked up. Her eyes lit up, revealing her gluttonous nature. There were many people in the Kentucky Fried Chicken near the school at noon. They found a seat by the window to sit down, and looking at the lazy sunlight outside, they suddenly felt a bit satisfied. There's no class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Su Yangchun elegantly picked up the fries and softly placed them in his mouth. Looking at her wolfing down the food, his eyes gradually became gentle. His face under the warm sunlight looked especially gentle. Only his voice still had a faint chill to it. Ah! Luo Qingchun bit into her burger while strangely looking up. She blinked and blinked again. After a while, she finally reacted. This was the question she had just asked him. The top student really was amazing. He could still dig it out after changing the topic for so long. Powerful, admirable. After eating and drinking her fill, she walked out of the Kentucky Fried Chicken and the sunlight fell onto her face. Luo Qingchun narrowed her eyes, and the first thing she thought of was to sleep. When these two words flashed in her mind, Su Yangchen's cool voice sounded in her ears. Did you bring your ID card? WTF. ID card? He wouldn't be thinking of. Aya, this system baby was a bit stunned. She was still a baby, wouldn't this be too fast? Host, please don't let your thoughts run wild. As she thought of this, the corners of her mouth curled up into a faint smile. Her face flushed red, and she looked shy. Can you tell me, what are you laughing at? Su Yangchun saw her shyly looking down and thinking about something. His lips slightly pursed, and he couldn't help wanting to laugh. Of course, he knew what she was thinking. A girl's mind was really a little inconceivable. She lowered her head, and her hands kept spinning in front of her chest. She said softly, I brought my ID card, but will we be underage? Oh, that's not right. I'm 18 years old. I'm an adult. I can already. After saying this, she suddenly looked up and found that Su Yangchun had already walked half a meter away. In an instant, he felt all the blood in his body flow in reverse, and his face flushed red. What the hell? Could it be that I misunderstood? Didn't he want me to do that with him? Luo Qingchun hurriedly caught up with him and asked, Where are you going? Aurora City. Su Yangchun saw her embarrassed expression and said with a faint smile. Luo Qingchun closed her eyes awkwardly. Damn, how embarrassing. So he wanted her ID card to buy a ticket. What else did the host think it was? The system's ice-cold voice rang out. What does it matter to you? Go to the side. Seeing your face like you're watching a play, I want to hit you. Chapter 56. Aurora City was the most famous tourist destination around a city, so it was named Aurora City. It was because there were different colors in the sky at certain times. Riding the train to Aurora City, Luo Qingchun's heart was filled with a trace of nervousness. This seemed to be her first time riding a train. At least it was the first time this body was riding a train. Her male god sitting beside her was a bit excited and a bit excited. Aurora City wasn't far from a city. It took around 40 minutes to ride. What were we going to Aurora City for? On the train, Luo Qingshun turned to look at the youth with slightly closed eyes. He seemed to be the center of attention. Just by silently leaning there, he could receive a few gazes that lingered on him. For a long time, he didn't speak. When Luo Qingshun thought that he didn't hear her and wanted to turn around, his pleasant voice sounded beside her ear, a date. Cuckoo. She tried her best to hide the joy in her heart as she tentatively asked. According to Baidu, the word date is used to describe a meeting between lovers. This time, Su Liangchan didn't take a long time to answer her. Rather, he took out the cell phone in his pocket and his slender fingers tapped on the screen a few times. Then he handed it to Luo Qingshun and said, "Take a look yourself." She took the cell phone, and the first sentence that appeared on the screen was the first sentence in Baidu. Dating is a part of human courtship, understanding the other side through talking. Finding out the degree of cooperation is used as a test to choose a spouse. Damn, this word database is too fake. Test, choice, degree of cooperation? What kind of ghost is this? I'm not looking. Luo Qingshun threw the cell phone to his chest and turned around. She looked at the barren mountains outside the window and sulked. The little cart on the train, not far away, shouted, "Melon seeds, peanuts, juice, mineral water, instant noodles. Do you need anything?" Luo Qingshun poked her head in to take a look. She pursed her lips and touched her stomach with her right hand. "Yeah, a bit hungry." Su Liangchen's eyes dimmed. He had brought her to eat KFC at noon. She had eaten at least 2/3 of the family bucket, as well as a hamburger and a cup of cola. It had only been about 3 hours since then. Was she hungry again? He now knew that if there was something in this world that Su Liangchun couldn't compare to Luo Qingshun, that thing would be eating. He frowned in disbelief, as if saying, "You're still eating?" Luo Qingshun had no choice but to pull herself away from the cart and look out of the window again. "Give me a cup of Haagen-Dazs." When the cart was about to be pushed away, Su Liangchen's pleasant voice sounded. The waitress blushed and looked at him with a smile. "What flavor do you want?" "Chocolate." When Luo Qingshun saw her Prince Charming Su being stared at with such infatuated eyes, her anger instantly disappeared and was replaced by a domineering aura. The waitress's expression was a bit awkward. She gave the chocolate-flavored ice cream to Su Liangchan with an unwilling smile before continuing to shout, "Melon seeds, peanuts, juice, mineral water, and instant noodles. Do you need anything?" "Here." He looked over with a trace of gentleness in his eyes. He gave the ice cream to her and said, "Eat it slowly. It's a bit cold." All the dissatisfaction and anger in her heart disappeared, and there was only his handsome face and gentle expression in her eyes. She still remembered the profound advertisement, "If you love her, take her to eat Haagen-Dazs." System notification, "It's easy to get fat if you eat too much chocolate." Chapter 57. It was already 6 in the evening when they arrived in Aurora City. The sky was gradually turning dark, but Aurora City was a completely different scene. Every household had bright-colored lights hung up, which echoed with the dark red sky, forming a gorgeous and colorful scenery. So beautiful, it's just like the Milky Way. This was Luo Qingshun's first thought when she stood on the beach of Aurora City. "Wait for me. I'll go buy something to eat." Su Liangchun slowly stood up and walked towards the food stall on the other side of the street. So with an extra foodie by his side, he would also feel hungry. Luo Qingshun watched his back, and her lips curled into a bright smile. She slightly looked up and watched the ever-changing beautiful stars in the night sky. Mysterious and dreamy, it was a strange night scene in North Pole City, attracting countless gazes of admiration. She suddenly thought of a song. "I'll take you to see the night scene on Sunday night, all right?" It was now 6 in the evening, 6 in the evening. Su Liangchun ordered some of Aurora City's famous snacks, malatang, barbecue skewers, coconut milk jelly, chicken wing rice, bean sprout pancakes, and 2 bowls of fruit iced rice. On the way back, he walked a bit faster. It was already close to 7. She should be hungry. But he never thought that when he returned to the beach, Luo Qingshun wouldn't be there. He unconsciously dialed her cell phone, and after several seconds, there was a message from the other side. The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Please try again later. He was a bit anxious, so he kept calling. Based on her appearance, she should have never come to Aurora City before. It was all his fault. He shouldn't have left her to go buy things alone. After the 3 calls didn't connect, it was like his heart was on fire. Looking at his watch, it was already past 7. Because there was a fireworks party on the beach, the surroundings were a bit noisy. He knit his brows and looked around, carefully listening. There were children playing, students chatting, and couples arguing, but there was no sound from her. Suddenly, not being able to hear her voice, he felt his heart filled with panic and fear. So this was the feeling of being afraid after losing someone. Su Yongchun took a deep breath and clenched his fist. The next second, he decided to call the police. Just as he pressed the dial button, Luo Qingshun patted him on the shoulder and said, "Did you buy anything delicious?" His shoulders trembled, and he quickly hung up the phone. When he turned around, he saw her hugging him tightly. Luo Qingshun was stunned. Her eyes widened and her heart thumped. At such a close distance, she could smell the faint scent of grass and lemon soap on his body. She could also smell his rapid breathing and his warm embrace. After a long time, he gently let go of her and looked at her with a scrutinizing gaze. "Where did you go?" Luo Qingshun was a little embarrassed as she touched her red ears and said, Just now an old lady asked me for directions. I saw that she was carrying a lot of things, so I helped her find the way. Are you sure you're going further and further away?" Su Yongchun slightly knit his brows as he spoke. This was clearly the first time this girl had come to Aurora City, yet she was still giving directions to others. It was true that he had good intentions, but he had to act within his means. "How did you know?" Luo Qingshun's eyes lit up, and then her aura disappeared without a trace as she said, "I thought I had a map on my phone, but who would have thought that there would be so many small roads here? I kept going around and going around, going further and further away." Seeing her lowered head looking like she was wronged, he couldn't bear to scold her. Thinking about it, being scolded for doing a good thing with a kind heart, her heart must feel bad. Su Yongchun raised his hand and rubbed her head as he said, "Wait for me to come back next time, all right?" Pong! The bright fireworks flew across the starry sky like the Milky Way. It was beautiful beyond compare. "All right." She obediently nodded as her lips curled into a deep smile. Chapter 58. Aurora City was indeed worthy of its reputation. Fireworks filled the sky and flowing water filled the air. A faint mist slowly lingered around them, as if they were in a paradise on earth. They were leaning on an inflatable lounge chair, and when they looked up, they could see the entire Milky Way galaxy. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple intertwined, forming a beautiful scenery. It really was beautiful, so beautiful. The corners of her mouth unconsciously curled into a smile as she began to hum the song softly. "It's only lively with you in front of the theater on Saturday. I'll take you to see the night view on Sunday, all right? Woo, the night view is very beautiful." She turned and looked at Su Yongchun beside her. Her face turned red, and she noticed that the other side had been staring at her the entire time. "You've already sung what I wanted to say. Then what about me?" Su Yongchun looked at her with eyes filled with gentleness. His eyes were deep, but there was a faint starlight in them. Luo Qingshun's eyes sparkled, and her ears turned completely red. She had never seen him have such a gentle expression before. His lips had a faint smile, and his eyes were filled with pampering as he looked at her, like he was looking at a treasure. Extremely precious. "I don't know." Luo Qingshun slightly blinked, not daring to look at him. She felt her heart beating strangely fast, and her breathing became fast. Luo Qingshun. His voice was a bit loud, scaring her into suddenly looking up. After that, his right hand pulled her messy hair behind her ear. His slender fingers slid across her face and stopped at her lips. Her lips were very beautiful, so moist that it was like water was about to drip out. He used a bit of strength and pulled her in, gently placing a kiss on her forehead. The warm touch made her gradually calm down, as if the panic from before had been completely swept away. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, it wasn't just her eyes. Even her originally chaotic and trembling heart had completely calmed down. After a bit of hesitation, he softly kissed her. He saw her face turn completely red as she tightly closed her eyes, not daring to take another look at his face. Her lips were strangely sweet, and there was a sweet but not greasy scent coming from her body that floated into his nose. He only felt that he, who had always been calm and composed, could lose control at any time. His ears were red, like a big boy kissing his first love. She was very careful, afraid that she would break his dream. After a long while, when her breathing became rapid and her entire body went limp and she couldn't muster any strength, he slowly left her lips. His deep black eyes stared straight at her, seemingly flashing with an indescribable light. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 90%. She seemed to have completely forgotten the system's reminder as she looked at him seriously with her bright eyes. He smiled faintly. Study hard. I don't want to lose a girlfriend in university. Got it. But no matter how hard I try, I can't go to the same university as you. Luo Qingshun bit her lips. She could still feel his gentleness. She blushed and stammered. I actually wanted to get into C University, Su Liangchun said with a frown. You should be able to enter Q University with your test scores. C University was a second-tier university. It was considered one of the worst schools in the city. Q University was a very good first-tier university. With her grades, as long as she worked hard for a few months, it wouldn't be a problem for her to enter Q University. But Luo Qingshun pursed her lips as her heart filled with an uncomfortable feeling. But C University was very close to a university. It was right next door. Chapter 59. But C University's cherry blossoms are very beautiful. I like it very much. Luo Qingshun blinked with a serious look in her eyes, speaking nonsense in such a serious manner. Su Yangchun saw the sparkle in her eyes, and he didn't even need to guess to know what she was thinking. It wasn't that she couldn't go to Q University. Rather, it was because C University was closer to a university. If she went to C University, she would be closer to him. She really was a little fool. When they took the train back to a city from Aurora City, it was already 9:30 at night. Walking on the tree-lined path, Luo Qingshun couldn't help raising her head to ask, will you be sent to a university, or will you be taking the college entrance exam like us? His heart was stunned, and he couldn't help feeling a bit uncomfortable. He had never done anything for her, and now she had to accommodate him for the college entrance exam. Was it just because of his words that he didn't want to experience the breakup season of the third year of high school? You don't care about your future at all? His voice was a bit cold as he stopped to look at her beside him. The street lights made their shadows very long, and the cold wind blew in their ears, just like her heart at this moment. Why are you so fierce? I'm just asking. She was a bit aggrieved. She had finally experienced the sweetness of a lover. So how could he be so cold? I'm very clear on what you're thinking. Su Yangchun looked up, and his voice had a trace of reproach as he said, but the future is yours, and the difference between Q University and C University isn't just 1 or 2 points. If you don't care about your future, then I can't do anything. He immediately regretted saying this, but it was for her own good. She was clearly working hard on her studies, so why did she have to apply for that kind of university? The competition in society was becoming stronger and stronger. Although a good graduation certificate couldn't play a decisive role, it could give you a good internship opportunity. You're very clear on everything. You know everything. Luo Qingshun's eyes instantly misted over. Her nose became stuffy and her tears almost fell out. She bit her lip and roared, Su Yangchun, I want to go to C University. I want to be very, very close to you. You're this cold, you'll never understand. After saying this, she angrily turned around and ran in the direction of her home. Su Yangchun stood there in a daze, as his feet were locked in place by an invisible chain. He had made her angry. Luo Qingshun returned home, took a hot bath, and lay on the bed, sulking angrily. How could he be so fierce? She wanted to go to C University because of him. One had to know that although Q University and University were both in City A. They were as far apart as heaven and earth. It was almost no different from a long-distance relationship. No, she would never do that. Just as she was fuming, Madame Sue came in with a glass of milk and told her that they would be going back to her grandmother's house for the new year tomorrow. She was stunned. Then, she picked up the calendar and looked at it. It turned out that tomorrow was already New Year's Eve. What should I do? I haven't prepared a New Year's gift for him yet. Thinking of this, she immediately shook her head and muttered to herself, I'm angry now. I won't give him a gift. System notification. Host, please do not forget your mission. Current mission completion rate is 90%. I know. I'm 18 this year, and my memory isn't that bad. Also, drinking milk every day is good for my IQ. He didn't know why, but after scolding the system, he didn't feel so depressed. The system was such a good baby. Chapter 60. Sitting in her father's car, Luo Qingchun decided to ignore him this year. She received a text from Su Liangchun this morning, and it only had 3 words. Sorry. Z. She suddenly felt that she should be male God Su's first love, because he was so ignorant that he didn't even have any creativity in apologizing. On the other side, Su Liangchen's heart was filled with anxiety. He had checked his phone several times this morning, but he didn't receive a single reply. Although he didn't show it on his face, his actions were very clear. For example, his mom wanted him to buy some eggs, but he bought duck eggs in the end. His little brother wanted him to buy a cup of pearl milk tea, so he bought a cup of coconut milk tea. His dad wanted him to buy a newspaper, so he bought a magazine. The moment they returned home, the entire family was stunned. For the Su family's heaven-defying eldest son, how could he remember everything wrong? Son, are you all right? Are you sick? Mother Su asked with an anxious look. Big brother, you wouldn't have mutated, right? Little brother, Su asked with a look of shock. Son, did the girl you like run away with someone else? Father Su asked with a look of melancholy. Dad, what did you say? Su Liangchen's brain intelligently skipped over Mother Su and little brother Su's words, only hearing Father Su's words. My son is finally in love. Father Su knew something was wrong just by looking at his eyes. This child's eyes were the same as when he saw his mom in the past, with a sparkle in his deep eyes. Su Liangchun was a bit stunned. Seeing his father's joy like he had won the lottery, he came back to his senses. He put their duck eggs, coconut milk tea, and magazine on the table and softly said, I'm going out for a bit. Son, you have to come back early. We'll have New Year's dinner tonight. His mother's voice echoed in his ears, but he had already walked out the door. There was a beautifully wrapped little box in his pocket. Inside was a Swarovski swan necklace, which was the New Year's gift he wanted to give her. Although he really wanted to put a ring in it. He had also remembered Luo Qingxin's home address during the school's anniversary celebration last time. Although he had only taken a quick glance, he still firmly remembered it. After half an hour, he appeared downstairs. She took out her phone and sent him a text. Happy New Year, I'm downstairs. Ding. Luo Qingxin, who was eating a roasted chicken leg at her grandmother's house, heard her phone ring. She held the chicken leg in one hand and opened the text message on her phone at the same time. In the next second, the drumstick fell directly on the table, and he was completely dumbfounded. System, calling the system. What was his so-called home downstairs? My house. Nonsense, of course. F***CK. How did he know where my house is? Moreover, what was he doing at my house on New Year's Eve instead of eating drumsticks at home? The system was courting death in an instant. It did not intend to answer her meaningless question. Luo Qingxun was very anxious. Now that it was New Year's Eve, she couldn't ask her father to send her back. Forget it. I'll go back myself. She quickly finished the drumstick and drank a few mouthfuls of soup. She stood up and said, Dad, Mom, Grandma, Grandpa, I'll go back to school first. The teacher said that there's something I need to do. As soon as she finished speaking, she picked up her small bag and ran to the train station. Her grandmother's house was only 2 stops away from city by train. She did not ask for a first-class seat. Just a standing ticket would be enough. Going to school on New Year's Eve. Students these days. It's so hard. Madame Sue and her grandmother's voices slowly came from not far away. Chapter 61. After getting on the train, She immediately took out her phone to text Su Yongchun, telling him that she was on the way. But the moment she took out her phone, she was stunned again. No. Electricity. Gone. What to do? What to do? Would he be angry? Would he leave? Would he ignore her? It was all her fault. Why would she be angry for no reason? The other side was clearly thinking for her. After all, she had studied hard for 18 years. She couldn't ruin it because of a moment of willfulness. System, is there something like the anywhere door? Yes. Damn, there really is one. Can you give me another one? Requires 10,000 exchange points. The host does not have enough exchange points, so it will not be exchanged. 10,000? Why don't you go to heaven? In this life? No, the next life, who knows if I'll have 10,000 in my next life. Luo Qingshan saw that the system didn't have any and was too lazy to talk nonsense with her. She immediately called a taxi after getting off the train and sped off in her direction. She didn't know how long passed, but she knew that it was already dark when she got off the taxi. Looking around, she didn't see that familiar figure. She sniffed and suddenly felt a bit sad. She reached in her bag for her keys, but she found that there were too many things in her bag, and she couldn't grab the keys. Suddenly, she felt a burst of pain in her finger. She immediately pulled it out, but she found that she had been scratched by something in her bag. Her skin was a bit broken, and she was bleeding. Her heart became more and more sad. Every family was happily celebrating New Year's, but she was here alone. Her parents weren't by her side, and the person waiting for her wasn't by her side. She angrily threw her bag to the ground and squatted down. She buried her head in her arms and began to twitch as she began to cry. She really felt wronged. She really was angry. After a while, a pair of slender hands patted her head and a cool as water voice softly sounded. What are you squatting down for? Quickly get up. Such a warm hand and such a familiar voice. She knew who it was. She buried her head even deeper and cried even harder. It was like a child who had fallen down and was injured. If the adult didn't care about him. Instead, he obediently stood up and patted his wound. However, if the adult cared about him, it would make the seed of grievance in his heart germinate. Luo Qingshan at this moment, this kind of feeling. I'm sorry, don't cry. Su Yongchun heard her crying becoming louder and instantly became helpless. It was all his fault. He should have apologized earlier and not come this late. It was all his fault. Qingshan, I won't bully you in the future. His voice was soft and slightly choked. It was completely different from the voice that was as clear as water and as clear as pearls. Hearing his aggrieved voice, Luo Qingshan couldn't help but laugh. She raised her eyes slightly. There were still a few drops of tears on her face, but there was a faint smile on her lips. Talking like this, it's not like Su Yongchun. She rubbed her nose and pursed her lips as she said this. He raised his hand and gently wiped away the tears on her face. He said gently, I'll be whatever you want me to be. This sentence that sounded like words of love, yet didn't sound like words of love when it came out of his mouth, it made her entire body go numb. That's great. She opened her arms and hugged him gently. Chapter 62. Luo Qingshan was stunned. There was a blush on her face, and even her ears were a bit red. This time it wasn't shyness, but rather embarrassment. The other side had carefully prepared a New Year's gift for her, but she was empty-handed. What to do? So embarrassing. How could this be justified? System, change a gift for me. Yes, need. Don't want it. Thinking about it, your gift is also very expensive. Moreover, there's a problem with your system. It likes to raise the price, especially extorting a pure and cute innocent girl like me. The system really wanted to tear itself to pieces. It wanted to say that it only needed 50 exchange points to exchange for something of the same value as Su Yongchun. In the end, before it could finish, it had been refuted. Human things were this cheap. How could it need a high exchange point? Was the host a fool? Of course, Luo Qingshan couldn't hear what the system said at all. The system was very proud. It didn't plan on telling her anything. What, you don't want it? Su Yongchun saw that she was beaming with joy, and her expression was a bit strange. He slightly pulled back his hand and said, I'll take it back if you don't want it. I want. Luo Qingshan quickly took the box and desperately nodded as she said, Don't take it away, I want it. Open it and take a look, he said with an embarrassed smile. This is my first time giving a girl a gift. I don't know if you like it or not. I like it. She looked up into his smiling eyes and said, I like everything you give me. After saying this, she carefully untied the bow, afraid that she would break this beautiful gift box. After that, she opened the box and an exquisite swan necklace appeared in front of her. The necklace was dazzling, so beautiful that it couldn't be taken in. So beautiful, thank you. She took the necklace and her heart began to beat fast. Su Yang-chun took the necklace from her hand and his slender hand gently wrapped around her neck, helping her put it on. The dazzling swan necklace fell on her white neck, seeming very fitting. A unique fit. Luo Qingshun was stunned, not daring to move at all. She looked at the young man in front of her with embarrassment and said, But I forgot to prepare your New Year's gift. She really didn't do it on purpose. She wanted to buy a New Year's gift, but she was too angry that day, so she deliberately didn't buy one. In fact, she never thought that she would receive a New Year's gift from him. It was such a beautiful necklace. He must have spent a long time choosing it. How regretful. Why did she have to be so willful? She didn't even prepare a gift for her Prince Charming on New Year's Eve. You did. He chuckled and picked him up from the ground. In an instant, Luo Qingshun felt her legs go numb. She staggered back and fell directly into his warm embrace. His fragrant scent wafted into her nostrils. His slender hands hugged her tightly, fearing that she would fall in the next second. He frowned slightly as a hint of panic flashed through his eyes. How could this girl be so careless? What would she do if he wasn't by her side in the future? After a while, she steadied herself and remembered what he said just now. She raised her eyes slightly and asked, Did I give it to you? I didn't. What did I give you? She didn't remember giving him a gift. Could it be that she sleepwalked one night and secretly ran to the Jean Manor yard to give him a gift? Until his cool voice slowly sounded in her ears. You all what? Chapter 63. For the entire winter break, she would think of Su Yang-chen's words every night. You gave me a Luo Qingchen, and I like it very much. Thank you. This sentence was like the invincible Diamond Sutra. It couldn't be erased from her mind. After the winter break ended, it would be the most important sprint of the third-year students' lives. There were 150 days left before the college entrance exam. Luo Qingchen's grades were considered stable. Her scores from several mock exams were always over 20 points above Q University's line. Su Yang-chun had also tested her, so there shouldn't be a problem for her to apply to Q University. But thinking of the countdown in the upper right corner decreasing day by day, her heart couldn't help feeling a bit nervous. This was a race against time. Or it could be said that the college entrance exam was like 1,000 soldiers and horses crossing a single log bridge. If one wasn't careful, they would fall to pieces. There were 50 days left before the college entrance exam. She was on duty today. Other than cleaning the classroom, she was also responsible for writing down the things she needed to review tomorrow on the blackboard. She stood on the bench with a thoughtful look in her eyes. She was stumped by a big physics question on the blackboard that she needed to solve tomorrow. Fix a small ball of mass m at the bottom of a tube and use a light and smooth line to connect the small ball to a small block of mass m equals km. The small ball's speed doesn't change when it turns. So how much acceleration does the small block have when it falls? It's a bit hard, Luo Qingshun muttered while writing the question on the blackboard. Try using Newton's second law. A voice suddenly sounded in the empty classroom. Luo Qingshun was scared, and she fell off the chair. In a split second, Tang Yu instantly hugged her, preventing her from coming into close contact with the ground. Tang Yu. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes and casually picked up a book from the podium to hit the hand holding her waist. The strength wasn't light or heavy, but it was enough to make Tang Yu let go. After that, she quickly jumped half a meter away. She gave a cold snort with an indifferent look and said, What does classmate Tang want? She didn't hate Tang Yu, but she definitely didn't like this kind of person. Thinking about it, her coming to this world was closely related to Tang Yu. If it wasn't for his self-righteous words, the original owner wouldn't have committed suicide by jumping off a building. Moreover, Ever since she came to this plane, Tang Yu had caused her a lot of trouble. Although Qian Fei was the instigator, it did not affect the bad impression of Tang Yu in her heart. He was a little hesitant to speak. Seeing that she didn't want to get close to him, he didn't know why he felt particularly uncomfortable in his heart. Once upon a time, he was the focal point of her gaze. It was as if her gaze followed him wherever he went. But now, whenever he moved a little closer to her, her face was filled with disgust and coldness. Why? Why did it turn out like this? If he did something wrong in the past, couldn't he just start over? Ahem. Luo Qingchen cleared her throat and said with a mocking smile, "Perhaps I should ask, what business does classmate Qian Fei have? One wouldn't visit a temple without a reason. Other than Qian Fei, she couldn't think of any other reason why Tang Yu would come looking for her. It has nothing to do with her." Tang Yu frowned, his emotions fluctuating slightly. He didn't know why, but he didn't want to mention Qian Fei. In the past, he liked her that much, but now it didn't seem like that. Chapter 64. It's about to be the college entrance exam. What school are you applying to? Tang Yu saw that the atmosphere was a bit awkward, so he revealed a playful smile. He narrowed his eyes as he looked at Luo Qingchen and asked this. "What does it matter to you?" Luo Qingchen retorted without any hesitation. Was this person crazy? He didn't care about what school Qian Fei was applying to. Why did he care about what school she was applying to? It really was as the system said. Since ancient times, deep feelings couldn't keep people. Only tricks could win people's hearts. Don't be nervous. I was just casually asking. Tang Yu's eyes suddenly dimmed, and there was an indescribable pain in his heart. His grades weren't bad. He was ranked in the top 30 of the year. If he had the chance to go to the same school as her, would he have a chance? After all, Su Yangshan was guaranteed to go to university. As for her, she couldn't go up. They were destined not to go to the same university. He understood the logic of the pavilion closest to the water enjoying the moonlight first. Humph! Luo Qingchen gave a soft snort and said, "What? You're not asking what school your Qian Fei is applying to?" "She wants to go to a university." Tang Yu shrugged and said with a helpless smile. Other than English being a bit better, Qian Fei's grades couldn't compare to his at all. She actually wanted to go to a university. He also felt it was inconceivable. But since she wanted to chase her own love as a 10,000-year spare tire, he had no right to say anything. And he really wasn't willing to be a spare tire. Huh. Luo Qingchen's lips curled into a laugh as she said, "Just her. She wants to go to university with such bad grades." She was certain this wasn't a joke. Perhaps Qian Fei would say, "Where there's a will, there's a way." But one had to ask, who in the entire Imperial High School wanted to go to university more than Luo Qingchen? Her boyfriend was in a university. All right. But people had to know their limits. A university's cutoff line was not something a normal person could reach. She couldn't even do it with a memory bred. So how could Qian Fei do it? I've advised her, but she wants to go. There's no other way. Tang Yu pursed his lips and smiled meaningfully. Maybe it's because the Prince Charming she's liked for so many years is worth her effort. Hee. Luo Qingchen coldly laughed. This is simply too funny. So where are you going? Is it also a university to get close to Su Yangshan? Tang Yu looked up with a pair of eyes that were filled with a bit of emotion as he looked at her. It's none of your business. Where is she going? What does it have to do with you? Luo Qingchen was about to retort when a cold voice came from the back door of the classroom. Su Yangshan was wearing a white shirt and carrying a backpack as he slowly walked towards her. The sunlight outside the window shone on his fair and cold cheeks. He looked so good that he seemed to be glowing. His eyes were cold and indifferent. When he passed by Tang Yu, he didn't even look at him. It was as if there was no one standing there at all. It was all air. Su Yangshan. Tang Yu slightly knit his brows as he looked at Su Yangshan standing beside her. Without knowing why, his heart didn't feel good. He picked up the chalk on the table and wrote down the answers to all the questions on the blackboard. His speed was as smooth as writing ancient words. 2 minutes and 18 seconds later, he put down the chalk in his hand and finished writing all the questions. Luo Qingchen was stunned on the spot. When he was writing the answers, he went from one question to another, not pausing at all. It was like the questions on the blackboard were all the same questions. Chapter 65. At the school gate, Su Liangchun was in a very good mood. There was a faint smile on his lips the entire way. This was because he had finally used his identity as a top student to completely oppress Tang Yu. School hunk, Su seems to be in a good mood. Luo Qingchun stood by his side and gave a soft laugh. She seemed to know why he was in such a good mood. After all, I chased away my love rival. He raised his right hand to pat her head and said with a faint smile, I'm a bit possessive. Will Qingchun like it? He was a bit worried that his strong possessiveness would make her feel pressured. But without knowing why, his heart was just that small. He hoped that her eyes would always be on him. I won't. Luo Qingchun seriously nodded as she looked at him and said, I like you. I like you more than anything in this world. After a while, he revealed a faint smile and pinched her little face as he said, Fool. The setting sun made their shadows very long. In a corner of an alley, he softly held her hand. He knew that he would never let go of this pair of soft little hands in this life, because the warmth coming from her hand warmed his ice-cold heart. This kind of him and her, they were truly blessed. Time passed very quickly. When they held hands again, it was already after the high school exams. In the cafe beside the amusement park, Luo Qingchun was wearing a pair of blue overalls, and she ordered a cup of strawberry smoothie. She looked at the youth seriously, helping her estimate her score. Or perhaps it was the youth who attracted everyone's attention. There's no problem getting into Q University. Your estimated score is over 30 points higher. Su Liangchun put down his pen and the score booklet, looking at her as he spoke with a smile. Luo Qingchun said with a shrug, I know. I already estimated it, but you insisted on estimating it again. Actually, she wasn't as happy as she imagined being able to get into Q University, because she would soon be in different parts of the city with him. She was filled with despair. Why wasn't Q University beside a university? System. When will Q University be moved to a new campus? Host, this is an excessive guess. After all, that is impossible. The system mercilessly destroyed her thoughts. This stupid system even added so many words just to annoy me. Why don't you just say you won't move? No. The system expressed that it wanted to experience the taste of tsundere, although it knew that it might be tortured to death by someone. Goodbye. Recently, her system had become more and more arrogant. In the past, when she dissed it, the most it would do was to court death and ignore her. But now, However, even though her system wasn't too cute at times, it was still very cute. However, it still brought her some good news regarding Qian Feifei and Tang Yu. In other words, they were the supporting male and female characters of this plane. It was said that in order to get into a university, Qian Feifei did not hesitate to use high-tech products to avoid the electronic scanners and successfully brought her mobile phone into the examination room to cheat. Of course, in the end, he still couldn't escape the eyes of the invigilator. In the end, she was disqualified from the college entrance examination and was sent to the youth prison for 3 months. She would never be eligible for the college entrance examination again as a warning. Luo Qingchun's heart couldn't help but tremble. Nowadays, cheating in the college entrance examination was so strict that they could even be imprisoned. But she didn't care about Qian Feifei at all. Everyone had to take responsibility for their own actions. Good and evil would be repaid in the end. Her side quest could be considered completed, but her main quest was still stuck at 90% favorability and didn't move at all. Chapter 66. As for Tang Yu, he didn't perform very well in the college entrance exams and didn't reach Q University's cutoff. When he was estimating his scores, he even ran over to ask Luo Qingchun what her second choice was. He thought that if Luo Qingchun also failed, he could still share the trials with her. Luo Qingchun couldn't help laughing in her heart at this idea. This was simply brainless. There was a 3-month-long break after the college entrance exams. Luo Qingchun said that other than occasionally going out with Su Liangchun, she spent the rest of her time at home with the air conditioner, watching TV, and eating and drinking. So on the first day of school, she had gained a lot of weight. The moment she walked out of the house, she couldn't help feeling that the title of school flower would be given up. Why was it that other people didn't gain weight no matter how much they ate, but she could gain 3 pounds just by drinking water? How could the heavens be so fair? She was very unwilling to accept this, but it was a good thing that appearance decided everything. She was wearing a cherry and red pleated dress, so there were many burning gazes the moment she walked into Q University. She had even sent a text to Su Liang-chun in the morning, asking if he wanted to go to Q University with her. After all, a university and Q University had different starting times. But she never thought that her school hunk, Su, would reject her. The reason was that he wanted to go to a picnic with his little brother. She instantly angrily replied, "Goodbye." Why were all the boys like this? They didn't know how to cherish what they had. They were too unrivaled. She held the acceptance letter in her hand as she looked around. Q University was very beautiful, and there were pear trees on both sides of the path. When the warm wind blew, the petals would fall to the ground. Of course, other than the pear trees, there were all kinds of clubs that were recruiting. It dazzled people's eyes and overwhelmed them. There were many new students reporting, and Q University was very big, so she couldn't find a new student reporting area even if she walked left and right. Standing at the intersection, she looked left and right. She finally decided to go left because there were more people on the left. The books said that following the direction of the most people was never wrong. Luo Qingchun. When she took 2 steps to the left, a clear-as-water voice came from behind her. The warm wind blew, and her pleated dress was blown up. The pear petals on the trees fell on her long hair. She suddenly turned around and saw Su Liang-chun not far away. He slowly walked towards her. He raised his left hand and removed the flower petals from her hair. He pointed to the right and said with a faint smile, "The new student registration area is this way. Aren't you going to have a picnic with your brother today?" She couldn't hide the smile on her face as she asked a meaningless question. Su Liang-chun had a playful smile, not looking like a cold male god at all. He softly took her hand and said, "I lied to you." Luo Qingchun looked at him in confusion. After all, she never thought that Su Liang-chun would actually lie. "Let's go. It's time to report." He smiled. He was in a good mood. Luo Qingchun followed behind him and saw the admission letter in his hand. She tilted her head and asked doubtfully, "Doesn't a university only accept new students the day after tomorrow? Why are you bringing your admission letter?" "Who said I applied to a university?" Su Liang-chun revealed a faint smile. It was like he was talking about a very normal matter, without any fluctuations in his voice. Luo Qingchun couldn't remain calm at this moment. She stopped moving and found that she didn't even have the strength to take another step. Chapter 67. Time, place, person acceptance letter. After eliminating all the impossibilities, even if it was impossible, it was still the truth. That's right. He turned around, and his left hand was still holding her hand. Seeing her slightly lower her head, he said in a pampering voice, "I don't want to be far away from my girlfriend. I want to always be by her side." Su Liang-chun. She sniffed twice and slightly looked up with tears in her eyes. "You're not allowed to cry." His slender hand took out a tissue from his bag and wiped her tears as he said, "To me, it's the same wherever I go." As long as she was by his side, it was enough. She gave a soft nod and threw herself into his embrace, saying with tears in her eyes, "I like Su Liang-chun the most." He was a bit surprised, but his lips curled into a deep smile. He tightly hugged her and said, "I love you, Luo Qingchun." Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 100%. At this moment, she felt that those gentle and pampering words made her happier than the system's 100% completion rate. The host can choose to stay or not. Yes/no, yes. There was no hesitation. This was an inevitable choice. University life passed faster than they imagined. Whenever Luo Qingchun was sick, he would immediately be by her side. Whenever Luo Qingchun wanted to skip class, he would immediately skip class with her or grab her back to class, depending on his mood. Whenever Luo Qingchun wanted to cram for an exam, he could easily guess the question and let her pass. In her 4 years of university, As long as Su Liangchan was by her side, she was very happy. Time passed very quickly, and 4 years passed in the blink of an eye. They were known as the most beautiful couple since Q University was founded, and there was no one who could shake their feelings in these 4 years. Everyone said that changing boyfriends and girlfriends in university was as fast as seeing flowers on horseback, but they used facts to prove that there was love in this world. On graduation day, she was wearing a scholar's hat and taking pictures in an open space. Her classmates saw Su Liangchun under the pear blossom tree and teased, "Your boyfriend is waiting for you." She pursed her lips and smiled. She walked forward and took off her hat. "I've graduated." The graduation ceremony of each department was different, but Su Liangchen's department had already held their graduation ceremony a few days ago. At that time, he said that he would give her a surprise after she graduated. She didn't think much of it, thinking that it was a gift of flowers or something. She didn't expect Su Liangchen nodded. He took out a box from his pocket and instantly knelt down on one knee as he said, "Classmate Luo, are you prepared to become Mrs. Su?" He had wanted to give this ring to her 4 years ago, but because they were still students, he had delayed it until 4 years later. She knew how hard it was for him to endure. In an instant, Luo Qingchen blushed. She covered her face with her hands and peeked through the gaps between her fingers. She said shyly, "I'm ready. Marry me." His deep eyes glowed, and there was a faint smile on his lips. She stretched out her left hand and nodded. "Okay." The dazzling diamond ring slowly slipped onto her ring finger, confirming her happiness in this life. Whoa! When Luo Qingchen's voice fell, a large group of brothers appeared behind Su Yangchun. They were holding colorful balloons in their hands as they surrounded them. They used their truest smiles to congratulate them. A month later, they held their wedding in the romantic Maldives. They exchanged rings and made a promise to each other. They held each other's hands and grew old together. They lived to the age of 70 in this life. On a voyage, the ship met with an accident and they both died. But they both had smiles on their lips before they died. They hugged each other on the bed, surrounded by water that came in from the cabin. They looked into each other's eyes with deep emotions, and the scene reflected in them was their lives. Chapter 68. Thank you for your smile that once messed up my youth. Su Liangchen, the first time I saw her, was on an afternoon after school. She came to the coffee shop I occasionally worked at and sat by the window. The sun shined down on her white face, and the rainbow bracelet on her hand jingled, looking really good. But when she gave me the note, my heart wasn't that happy. She said she liked me. She really was direct. I didn't like direct girls, so my first impression of her wasn't that good. She said she wanted a cup of Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, and I didn't know why, but I made a cup of especially bitter black coffee for her. I swear that I had never done this before. This was my first time. After she drank the coffee, her face didn't look good. I looked at her face that was as white as paper. Her eyes were as clear as water, and her lips had a faint smile. My heart didn't know why it made a gedung sound, touching the softest place in my heart. It should be from that time that I found that in this world, other than her, there was nothing special. Her shyness when she saw me, her focus when she played the piano, her decisiveness when she shouted in the rain, and that kiss that made people unable to stop themselves. Everything caused ripples to appear in my heart, which was originally as calm as still water. No, it was a stormy sea. Since I was young, I was always the center of attention wherever I went. But that day when I was riding my bike through the alley near the school, I found that she was the same as me, as scenery that people weren't willing to look away from. I was the same. Sometimes I couldn't help secretly wanting to take a few more glances. Over time, I found that caring and focusing had become a habit, a terrifying habit. She got off the bus at around 7:20 in the morning and went to the breakfast shop on the right to buy breakfast. Her favorite food was seaweed-wrapped rice, and she hated bread the most. I remembered one time when she got off the bus at 7:30. In the end, the breakfast shop was sold out and only bread was left. She angrily put her hands on her hips and said to the boss that she would never eat from their shop again. I didn't know why she hated bread, but it seemed like after seeing it that time, I didn't like bread that much either. Her personality wasn't simple. Sometimes she was overbearing and sometimes she was shy. I remember that she came to our class to stop me. Actually, I saw it. I saw the 7-color bracelet she was wearing that day. I don't know why, but at that moment I was incomparably happy, to the point that I didn't hear a single word that Fong Tian was saying. Then she told me that she could block the peach blossoms for me. I don't know what kind of expression I had at that time, but my heart was happy. I felt that the girl in front of me was different from others. She was really interesting. I couldn't help but want to get closer to her. Later, I told her to study hard because I didn't want to lose a girlfriend in college. I didn't know if she understood, but I agreed to her so-called deal. If I had to say what moved me the most in my life, it would probably be the day she appeared in science class. At that time, my heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. Joy, gratitude, happiness. She walked towards me, like a dazzling ray of light that shone into my heart without warning. It was hot and warm. At that moment, I knew that the luckiest thing in my life was meeting her. Our story didn't experience any great storms, but the ordinary fleeting time made me feel incomparably cherished. We would quarrel, we would have cold wars, but we would always make up in less than 12 hours. This was our initial agreement, our final heart. Day and night, year after year, whether you need it or not, I will always be there. Chapter 69. The bronze mirror glowed brilliantly, looking very clear. A youth was standing in front of the mirror. He was wearing a white shirt and a black bow tie, looking incredibly handsome. System. The 40-chapter dog abuse play has finally come to a perfect end. For us who were caught off guard and ate a mouthful of dog food, we can finally take a break. Now we will begin the most interesting 10-question and answer session. Everyone, please give a single round of applause to the cold school hunk, world's male, lead Su Yang-chun. The system happily gave a single round of applause. Hello, classmates Su Yang-chun. Hello. Do you feel very excited to see the system? Caret Omega Caret, meow. You've been with her for a long time. Your personality has changed. Of course, if you want to turn from a system into a cat, I don't mind helping you. Sorry, the system was attacked by an unknown program and an error occurred just now. The system immediately admitted defeat and returned to its mechanical tone. First question, what did you feel when you saw her for the first time at the 90 Degrees Coffee House? She was very beautiful and the rainbow bracelet looked good. Only, the way you confessed was too direct. If you really had to give a score, it should be negative. Cuckoo. She knows that you gave a negative score. Oh, is that so? A negative score for a second, a full score for a lifetime. The system spread its non-existent hands in discomfort, being caught off guard and eating another round of dog food. Second question, why did you change My Future Is Not a Dream from the original piano piece to exclusive taste? I like it. The system expressed that the male god was the male god. So direct. Third question, was she your first love? Yes. She was the first person I fell in love with, and the only person I fell in love with. Fourth question, in your heart, what kind of personality does she have? Bad with directions, very bad with directions, very bad with directions. I remember when we were on vacation in France after we got married, she stood beside a toilet and ran from the toilet to where I was, asking me where the toilet was. The system was very surprised. So there was such a weak, cute girl with a bad sense of direction in this world. Fifth question, who is the person you dislike the most in this world? Is there a need to ask? Of course it's Tangyu. So, the day before the college entrance exam, I specially got someone to go downstairs and beat the drums for the whole night, so that he wouldn't be able to get into Q University. The system felt that a certain someone was getting scarier and scarier. He was even playing tricks. Sixth question, tell me about the moment when she moved your heart the most. That afternoon, the teacher said that a student had transferred to the science class. My mind was filled with her. The eagerness burned through all the blood in my veins, telling me that it was her. At that time, she was really, really beautiful. Seventh question, why did you bring her to Aurora City? Because I want to take her to see the most beautiful night view on a Sunday night. Eighth question, how do you feel about Fong Tian? After all, she's the female lead? Isn't she cannon fodder? Do you think I don't know that you secretly swapped the cannon fodder with her? I'm sorry, there's an error in the system, causing unreasonable factors in the data of this plane. The host will be compensated accordingly later. The system admitted defeat once again. Why did it ask such a stupid question? Ninth question, why didn't you tell her that you applied to Q University? I wanted to see her pleasantly surprised expression before throwing herself at me and rubbing against my shirt. The system swallowed a mouthful of air, showing that it didn't like dog food. 10th question, if you were to say the most moving words of love to her, what would you say? Good morning, good night. His lips curled into a faint smile as his cool as water voice said the world's most gentle 4 words. I'm willing to never look back as we grow old with deep love. I now solemnly announce the end of the interview with the cold school hunk, world's male lead Su Yangchun. Let's give a single round of applause. After that, a single round of applause awkwardly sounded. Chapter 70. Host, welcome back. Hello. Luo Qingshan was in a good mood. Although they couldn't live together in the previous world, they died together. Although she was still reluctant, she didn't need to experience the feeling of separation. It was really great. The next second, the scene in the bronze mirror gradually became clear. The following is a summary of this mission's data. Host, please read carefully. Name, Luo Qingshan Plain Space. Cannon fodder counterattack of the cold school hunk experience points exchange. 900, original 1200, piano skill 100, memory bread 200. Mission completion, 100% reward, 1 dense fragrance. I forgot to ask last time, what is this thing? Strong aphrodisiac. Damn it. Why are you giving me this? Host can choose to reject it. I want it. You want to cheat me of the reward? No way. So angry. The mission's reward was so bad. Her mood was not good. The next second, the bronze mirror turned to the next page. System notification. Due to the previous world's system's identity announcement, the original female lead was not Fong Tian, but Luo Qingshan. Now that the system has been restored, in order to make up for the host's loss, the system gave 1/10,000 of the portable space. In any plane, the host can put items into the portable space at will. The volume should not be too big. Living things are not accepted. Damn it, I knew it. That Fong Tian looked like cannon fodder. Bao Bao clearly looked like the female lead. System, you really should go and fix it. You can even make a mistake like this. Luo Qingshan was stunned. The good female lead was said to be cannon fodder by the system. It didn't do it on purpose. She didn't believe it. The system has made compensation. Does the host accept? Yes/no, yes. Absolutely accept. She understood the portable space. It was a complete cheat. But she could only put one thing. She had to think about it carefully. System notification. Host's portable space is full. Why? I didn't put anything in. Why is it full? Luo Qingshan was confused. Okay? Host put in the dense fragrance. WTF. Broken system. You're bullying Bao Bao again. Host will start the 3rd mission in 3 minutes. The mission panel is as follows. The system completely ignored her. The bronze mirror flipped to another page and displayed the next mission's value. Experience, appearance, physical strength, charm, figure. Other than experience, all other values are only for this mission and have nothing to do with other missions. Damn, the stamina requirement for this mission is so high. Does that mean I can suddenly become Hercules? In the next second, the image in the bronze mirror changed. Mission rating, EXP gained, 500. Exchange points gained, 2,000. Item, teleport canvas shoes, one-time use. Female lead. Luo Qingshan male lead. Ling Xiu supporting male lead. Su Yi supporting female lead. Which Lord Shi Ing cannon fodder. Huan Yuning mission content. Return to the day before the female lead died and obtain the love of the male lead Ling Xiu. System notification. Because of this, the mission is a bit special. Host will obtain 2 items in the plane of existence. 1. Heart. 2. Exquisite ring heart. Heart. Luo Qingshan was shocked by the system. What does this heart mean? Could it be that the original owner of this body died without a heart? Yes. After a while, the system's voice slowly came from the void, as if it had a bit of sadness to it. The host has accepted the original owner's memories. Currently importing memories. Please seriously accept them. Chapter 71. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying in a crystal ice coffin. Her eyes were red, and there was a layer of mist in her eyes. This story, it really was a sad one. The previous host was the most spoiled little princess of the heaven race. Because she was playful when she was young, she broke a heaven-burning lamp. It wasn't a big deal to break a lamp, but the place where the lamp fell was the mortal world. The heavenly emperor was filled with rage and sent her down to the mortal world to pass her tribulation. When she was prepared to pass her final love tribulation, something unexpected happened. In this world, she was a gold-ranked hunter that everyone feared. There was no mission that she couldn't complete. The reason why the original owner was so powerful was that when she was 6 years old, she was caught on a Beastman Island. The entire island was filled with ferocious monsters. There were more than 2,000 children her age, but she was the only one who survived. She didn't know who caught her. She just knew that the moment the monster's blood entered her body began to become stronger. There were 3 races on the Harmony continent that had powerful spiritual energy: the Heaven race, the Beast race, and the Wu people. As a hunter that had never tasted defeat, the previous host received the Beast King's orders to find a corpse in the tomb of the living dead's profound ice grave. The corpse had the mark of the Beast God on its neck, and then burn it with underworld flames, never to be reincarnated. She didn't know why the Beast King was this decisive to a dead person, but because the other side gave her a rich reward, she still accepted this mission after weighing it. After all, who wouldn't do a rich job? The tomb of the living dead's profound ice grave was in a very terrifying ice mountain. The previous host was already exhausted when she arrived, but she never thought that this giant, profound ice grave would be filled with bloodthirsty monsters. When she thought that she would be killed by the surrounding bloodthirsty monsters, the male lead Ling Xiao appeared. He was covered in blood as he appeared in front of her. That was an indescribable, peerless face. A pair of dark blue eyes that were as bright as the stars in the sky. His skin was white, like it was glowing, and his lips were slightly red. His entire body was releasing a cold aura that kept people away. He dug out the bloodthirsty monster's heart with his bare hands and swallowed it. When all the monsters fell to the ground, he walked in front of her. He reached out his white hand that was covered in blood as he stammered, They're all dead. There's no need to be afraid." He was severely injured and was bleeding all over his body. After the original owner finished bandaging his wounds, she asked him about the situation here, but the person in front of her spoke vaguely, like a fool. That night, the original owner found the mark on his neck. He was the corpse that the Beast King wanted to burn with the underworld fire. Other than the Beast King, the only beast god, Ling Xiao. The host looked at him covered in blood, but he was sleeping peacefully beside her. She recalled the scene of him standing in front of her and being torn apart by the monster. In the end, she extinguished the netherworld flame and decided to give up on this mission. After he woke up, the original owner told him that the two of them had to leave Ice Mountain, otherwise they would die here. Ling Xiao nodded, showing that he was only willing to follow her. Because in this life, the first person he saw when he opened his eyes was her. He protected her and killed all the monsters that stood in their way. This kind of slaughter also exhausted him, but he still protected her with all his might, not allowing her to be hurt in the slightest. Perhaps it was at this moment that the original owner fell in love with him. The host knew that this man wasn't alive because he didn't have a heart. He ate the heart with his bare hands because he wanted to maintain his strength. Chapter 72. Finally, when they walked out of the ice mountain after passing through countless dangers, Ling Xiao fainted. The moment he fainted, the Wu people's sorcerer lord Xiying appeared. She used her powerful sorcerer energy to heavily injure the mortal body of the previous host. She brought her back to the Wu people's Phoenix Feather City and locked her in the water prison. Later, the previous host learned that the beast god Ling Xiao had betrayed the beast race for sorcerer lord Xiying. In a battle between the beast race and the Wu people, Ling Xiao blocked the power of the beast race's divine punishment bead to protect Xiying forever falling into the underworld. When Xing found him, his heart had already been eaten by countless demons, and he no longer had any life. In order to save him, she used the Wu people's forbidden technique to imprison his primordial spirit, making him unable to reincarnate and giving him a chance to awaken. But after he awakened, he needed a heart filled with the power of the beast race. This heart needed to be nurtured from a young age. Xing divined the time and sent over 2,000 children to the beast race island ahead of time, just for the strongest heart. As for the person with this heart, they were just a vessel in Sorcerer Lord Xing's eyes. 3 days after coming to Phoenix Feather City, Xing opened the altar and took the previous host's heart from her body, throwing her off Phoenix Feather City. She thought that she had finished her mortal life like this. The moment she lost her heart, she remembered that she was the heaven race's little princess. But she didn't completely die. When she fell off Phoenix Feather City, she fell into a floating immortal realm and was saved by an expert. But because she didn't have a heart, it was impossible for her to live. Finally, her will passed through the barrier of time and arrived in the chaotic space, arriving with the host Lu Qingchen. Host, you've already opened your eyes for 6 hours. The system's voice mechanically sounded in her ears. She wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and sat up. Looking around, there was no one here. System, you gave me the heart, right? Otherwise, did the host think you could wake up? Humph, didn't that beast god Ling Xiu wake up? Why can't I? He is the beast god. Do you know what a beast god is? I don't know. Looks like I have to specially help the host teleport to a dimension with only orcs next time. The system had an idea in its mind. Humph. The bad system was thinking of another evil scheme. This ring, this is the exquisite ring. Although the original owner was immortal when she went through the tribulation, her martial arts and skills are very good after her hard training. But host, even if your physical strength is very high, you only have strength. F***CK. System, why do I feel like you're making me sound like I'm completely useless? The host is very useful. Do you want to take back the exquisite ring? No. Don't think I don't know that your mind is filled with thoughts of taking back this and taking back that. The exquisite ring is very powerful. The host can use it in times of crisis, but the exquisite ring has a weakness. What? If it comes into contact with water, its function will be temporarily disabled. The system answered honestly. Miss, you're awake? A gentle voice sounded not far away. Luo Qingchen stood up and looked at the girl in front of her in a daze. She was wearing a moon-white dress, and her skin was like jade, with a bit of pink in the snow white. She had a pair of red lips that had a sweet smile. Chapter 73. Who are you? Luo Qingchen asked in a daze. My surname is Shi. My name is Ruyu. Shiryu slowly walked to her side with light steps. She had a faint smile on her face, like she had seen through the world of mortals. Luo Qingchen looked over her. Although she was very beautiful, she could tell her age from her words and actions. She should be a few years older than her. Many thanks for saving my life. Luo Qingchen nodded to show her thanks. Although she didn't save the previous host had already returned to the heavenly palace to be a little princess. Now, she didn't know if this was a blessing or a curse. I know you are Luo Qingchen, the heavenly emperor's little princess. Shiryu revealed a smile, not hiding anything. You know, she was very surprised. It seemed like this person's background wasn't small. I was once a member of the heaven race. Shiryu took her pulse before placing her hand on her heart. Her expression changed as she said, as expected, everything isn't over. System, who is she? She was originally a member of the heaven race, but when the previous host was born, she was no longer in the heaven race. Damn, a distant relative. Not really. She fell in love with the old Beast King and betrayed the heaven race for the Beast King. The heaven race locked the old Beast King in the Thunder Hell, and she has been thinking of a way to save him the entire time. Old Beast King? Then who is the current Beast King? Ling Xiu's big brother Ling Xuan. Huh. Then you mean that the person in front of you is the male leads. Mother? Yes. All right, I understand. You can leave. The host really kicked the system after using it. I still have very important things to do. In short, many thanks to Big Sister Ruyu for saving my life. Luo Qingshan stood up and said. Shiryu didn't stop her. Rather, she gave her a new set of clothes and said with a faint smile, "All right, be careful on the way. Phoenix Feather City is to the west. There's only one way for mortals to go up." Luo Qingshan's heart skipped a beat. The person in front of her seemed to be able to see through her. She asked with a slight nod, "What?" "Apply as a maid." After bidding farewell to Shiryu, Luo Qingshan went from the floating immortal realm to Phoenix Feather City. Calculating the distance, it would take about 3 to 4 days. The physical strength of this body was very good. She did not feel tired even after walking for a day and a night. Shiryu told her that the first prince of the Wu people was a person who was honest and loved the people. In order to allow the commoners to learn from the Wu people and broaden their horizons, he would choose the maids from the commoners and let them live in the Wu people. It had to be known that although the Wu people's lifespan couldn't compare to that of the Heaven race and the Beast race, it was much longer than that of mortals. Help! Just as she was roasting the pheasant, a cry came from the front. Luo Qingshan put down the branch and walked forward. Suddenly, she saw a huge wild boar attacking a person. The wild boar's entire body was red, as if it had mutated. At his feet was a man dressed like a scholar, who looked to be in his 20s. Luo Qingshan was eating a drumstick while hesitating whether to save him. Why did she feel like the wild boar was waiting for her to save him? "Hey, the one eating drumstick over there, quickly come and save me," Suyi shouted and then said to the wild boar in a small voice, "Step, step, step, quickly step on me." The wild boar loudly roared and stretched out its red hoof, about to step on him. In an instant, Luo Qingshan knit her brows and used her fastest speed to charge at the wild boar. With a wave of her right hand, the exquisite ring released a dazzling light. In an instant, the wild boar flew half a meter away. Chapter 74. What? Luo Qingshan was stunned as she sized up the person in front of her. He was dressed in a light blue robe, and his thick eyebrows were slightly raised in a rebellious manner. He had a pair of eyes that were as clear as morning dew, a handsome nose, fair skin, and moderately thick red lips that were rippling with an incomparably beautiful smile. If he was a man dressed as a woman, he would definitely be a great beauty. "I've been waiting for you for half a year." Suyi slightly opened his mouth, and with a faint smile, he gently said, "I've used the Big Dipper divination and you're my destined marriage." "Wait a minute." Luo Qingshan couldn't keep listening and interrupted him. "This brother, I think you've made a mistake in your divination. How could the Wu people's divination be wrong? You're someone from the Wu people?" Luo Qingshan narrowed her eyes, and the exquisite ring on her hand flashed towards the forest to the side. A small wild boar was pulled out by her. "Aya, how could you be so cruel to my little spirit pet?" Suyi quickly picked up the small wild boar and placed it in his pocket. He rubbed its head and spoke with a pained expression. Luo Qingshan gave a soft laugh and said, "I'm just telling you that the next time you and your small wild boar act, you should act more realistically. Otherwise, you won't be able to arouse the sympathy of others." She couldn't help but find it funny. This person was really cute. "Little marriage, where are you going? Don't randomly call me that. I have a name, okay? I forgot to introduce myself. I'm called Suyi, what about you?" She didn't want to say anything, but seeing the handsome appearance of the youth in front of her, she couldn't bear to refuse him. "Luo Qingshan, don't follow me, otherwise I'll really get angry." She raised her right hand, and the exquisite ring was surrounded by fragments of golden light. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Suyi behind her. Suyi was slightly stunned, and his eyes revealed an inquisitive expression. He didn't walk forward to follow her. Instead, he stood in place and looked at her back with a faint smile. "Luo Qingshan, we will meet again." 3 days later, Phoenix Feather City. Sure enough, as Shiryu said, she caught up with the day when the Wu people chose their maids from the mortals. When the elders of the Wu people wanted to test whether or not mortals had the qualifications to enter Phoenix Feather City, they needed to examine 2 aspects: appearance and constitution. Thus, in the instant that Luo Qingshan lifted the boulder with one hand She had successfully obtained the qualifications to enter Phoenix Feather City and become a maid. After all, not only was she beautiful, she was also devastatingly beautiful. Her physical fitness was also so outstanding. Who else could he choose if not her? System, wasn't I cool when I lifted the stone? I saw that the eyes of the onlookers were about to fall out of their heads. Host, that's the physical fitness of this body. What does it have to do with you? TSK. Right now, this host is this body. He wanted to show off to the system, but he didn't expect it to be so uncute. The road leading to Phoenix Feather City was an extremely long crystal staircase to heaven. The staircase reached into the clouds, and when walking on it, one would feel as if they were strolling in the clouds. The Wu people had the lowest spiritual energy, but they were the spirit race that was closest to mortals. Because of this, they had specially built a staircase to heaven to reach Phoenix Feather City. However, the heaven race was different. They had high spiritual energy. An ordinary Tian clan heavenly soldier could casually kill a witch clan elder. Their palace was located in the tall heaven prayer temple. If one couldn't fly, they would never be able to reach it. The 10 of you will live in the East Wing. You will rest for the night. Tomorrow, I will arrange a palace for you to study and serve. Do you understand? The elder's solemn voice rang out, making the mortals not dare to look him in the eye. Yes, elder. The Wu people's sacred land was not as luxurious as the heaven races. It was almost entirely made of wood, giving people an ancient and mysterious feeling. However, what Luo Qingshun did not expect was that not far from the room, there was a pair of incomparably frightened eyes staring at her. Chapter 75. The Wu people had an unwritten rule. As long as a mortal didn't make a mistake in Phoenix Feather City, even if it was a prince or the witch lord, they couldn't casually chase them away. So even if she calculated her arrival, she couldn't immediately chase her away. Sir Witch Lord, wasn't that maid the vessel we chose for Sir Ling Xiu's heart? The maid Shuang beside. Xing looked at her with a look of fear as she asked this. Shut up. Xing narrowed her eyes, and her face became a bit twisted. She gritted her teeth and said, Perhaps it's just someone who looks similar. Then how could Sir's bone talisman predict that a great calamity would come to Phoenix Feather City today? Shuang's sharp words made Shi Ying's expression freeze. Indeed, she had never miscalculated anything with the bone talisman. The person in front of her was the vessel whose heart she had dug out 3 years ago, but she didn't have any spiritual energy around her. A mortal who had lost her heart for 3 years, how could she still be alive? This was something that definitely couldn't happen in this world. Is the beastman Qi Feng who came to Phoenix Feather City a few days ago still here? Shi Ying's eyes narrowed as a trace of ruthlessness appeared in her cold eyes. That scoundrel who said he wanted to rely on Sir Ling Xiu? Shuang thought about it before saying with a look of disgust, He's here. He's living in the West Wing. He can't enter Sir Ling Xiu's star palace at all. With his bit of spiritual energy, he'll fall down halfway, not to mention passing Sir Ling Xiu's God-punishing array. Shi Ying's face turned cold, and her lips curled into a sinister smile. Have him find something from that mortal later and place a bewitching curse on it. Then put a bit of that thing in Qi Feng's food. Then bring him to the East Wing. With the bewitching curse as a guide, he will naturally find that mortal and take her. Shuang saw her eyes and immediately understood. Her lips curled as she said, Sir is wise. An unclean girl can't stay in the Wu people. Shuang, you're wrong. Shi Ying said with a faint smile. A girl who has done something with a man in front of everyone can't stay in the Wu people. A man and woman who love each other. Our Wu people sincerely give them their blessings. Don't let others say that we're unreasonable. Yes, my lord. Shuang's voice was incomparably sharp, and the smile at the corners of her mouth became even wider. In the East Wing, 2 maids shared a room. Luo Qingshun and another woman shared a room. The Wu people treated mortals well. Although there was no gold or silver in the house, it was clean and tidy. The bed was made of ancient stone. It was dark green with a hint of white, making it look especially quiet. There was an antique screen, 2 floor-to-ceiling Qingxin platforms, and the faint candlelight inside lit up the entire room. "Miss, what is your name?" Huan Yuning tidied up her bed and ran to the other side of the screen to help Luo Qingshun tidy up. She turned to look at the woman in front of her. She was wearing a dark green dress, and her black hair was tied up with a light green ribbon. A few strands of hair fell mischievously over her shoulders. Coincidentally, her round cheeks and big, blinking eyes were a perfect match for them. Luo Qingshun. Her lips curled into a faint smile. Her first impression of the girl in front of her wasn't bad. Although one couldn't judge a book by its cover, she felt that this girl with a round face was filled with spirit, so her heart wouldn't be bad. Chapter 76. All right, Luo Qingshun nodded. She tidied up the bed and walked over to the table to make a pot of tea. The hot water went over the tea leaves for the first time, and the fragrance was left in the cup. She handed the tea to Huan Yuning and said, "Cuckoo, good friend. Do you know where the people with a bit of power in Phoenix Feather City live?" As the female lead with the halo of light, Luo Qingshun wanted to at least know where the male lead Ling Xiu was. "You want to ask where Sir Ling Xiu lives?" Huan Yuning had a deep smile on her face as she covered her mouth in laughter. "Ah," Luo Qingshun couldn't help saying in a surprised voice. "How did you know?" Her question was clearly very tactful. She could tell from her words that she was asking where Ling Xiu lived, because over half of the maids here are here to see Sir Ling Xiu. Huan Yuning pursed her lips into a smile and said, "So, Qingshun, when you asked, I knew. Why does everyone want to see Sir Ling Xiu?" "Because Sir Ling Xiu is the Harmony Continent's most handsome, confident, cold, and charming man of abstinence." Huan Yuning crossed her hands in front of her, looking like she was praying. Luo Qingshun looked at her from her position and felt that if she was in the modern world, she would be a crazy girl. No, she was also a crazy girl here. "Abstinence," Luo Qingshun said with an awkward smile. "Are you sure you didn't use this word wrong?" "That's right," Huan Yuning said with a wink. "The Star Palace, Sir Ling Xiu lives and has only had a single servant for all these years, and it is a boy who is in charge of Sir's food and other trivial matters. I've heard that other than Sir Witch Lord, there are almost no girls that can talk to Sir Ling Xiu." Luo Qingshun gave a slight nod and muttered, "It seems like Shi Ying's position in his heart isn't low." "Ah, what did you say?" "No, nothing." She shook her head and kept asking, "Then where do those people normally see Ling Xiu?" "Sir, this." Huan Yuning thought about it and said, "Usually, it's when the Wu people have a meeting or a competition." After saying that, she yawned and undid the ribbon on her hair and casually placed it on the table. Then, she walked towards the bed beside the screen and said, "I'm going to sleep first. Qingshun, you should also sleep early. Tomorrow, we still have to allocate the sleeping quarters." All right. The night in Wu people was very quiet. There was almost no sound. She was a light sleeper until the door opened with a thud. She opened her eyes abruptly and asked, "Who is it?" The newcomer was a little flustered and used his spirit energy to escape. When Luo Qingshun walked to the front of the house, that person's figure was already far away. She frowned and felt a little uneasy. "What is it? Did something happen?" Huan Yuning wasn't woken up by the uninvited guest. Rather, she was woken up by her who? Luo Qingshun knit her brows and lit the candle. Looking around the room, she found that the ribbon Huan Yuning had placed on the table was gone. System. Who was that person and what did he want to do? Which Lord Xing wanted to harm you? But that person took the wrong thing. There is a man who has been cursed and has taken aphrodisiac coming here. Host, please be careful. I know. So the target has become Yuning? Yes. Luo Qingshun turned around and used the exquisite ring's spirit energy to create a barrier around the room. Because she was immortal, the barrier was very weak, but it should be enough to protect Huan Yuning. Where does the host want to go? Giving someone a taste of their own medicine. Does Shi Ying think that I am the same Luo Qingshun who had her heart taken by her bare hands? Chapter 77. Qingshun, why are you suddenly not saying anything? Huan Yuning saw her red eyes and asked this in a worried and scared voice. Yuning, do you see this golden barrier? If anyone comes later, unless they break the barrier, you can't leave even if you die. Luo Qingchun looked at her and slightly knit her brows as she said, "Do you understand?" I understand." Huan Yuning was a bit afraid when she heard her mention the barrier, so she kept nodding. She had lost her parents since she was young and had no one to rely on. This was the first time someone had set up a barrier to protect her. Although her heart was filled with fear, she still seriously listened to Luo Qingchun's words. As soon as her voice fell, she opened the door and walked into the darkness. System, where's Shi Ying's palace? Host, her palace is protected by a barrier. Although is heaven and earth different from Ling Xiu's God-punishing array, you are immortal. If you go in, she will definitely know. Who said I was going in? I just wanted to wait outside for a bit. It's to the south. Her lips slightly curled and her eyes slightly narrowed, revealing a faint ice-cold look. Which Lord Shi Ying's palace was to the south. It was called the 10,000 Flower Palace. She loved flowers since she was young, so naturally her palace had this name. Luo Qingchun was hiding behind a tree stump outside the barrier. Not long after, she saw two maids walking towards the 10,000 Flower Palace with supper in their hands. System, I want to take out the dense fragrance. Ding! Successfully took out the dense fragrance from a storage space. Instantly, a small box appeared in her hand. I thought that the host would only use the exquisite ring to create some waves, but I never thought that the host would be this ruthless. The system patted its non-existent little heart. This kind of host made it a bit afraid. If a person wasn't ruthless, they wouldn't be able to stand firm. She slightly lifted the exquisite ring and used her most concentrated attention to instantly freeze the small space around her. After that, she used her fastest speed to pour the dense fragrance into the peach blossom soup in the hands of one of the maids before quickly returning to her original position. Although it was only a few short seconds of space freezing, when she returned to the tree stump, her body was trembling, her face was pale, and her forehead was covered in cold sweat. Host, please note that your heart rate is too fast. Nonsense, Bao Bao knows. Shouldn't you strengthen this ring? I only used it for a few seconds, and I feel like I'm going to collapse. The exquisite ring is an ancient divine artifact. You are now immortal. Using it to condense space is already the limit. Host, you are still not satisfied. Oh, then if I had recovered my identity as the Tian clan's little princess, this wouldn't have happened when I operated the exquisite ring, right? Yes. Just as Luo Qingchun's face was pale and her body was weak, but she was still smiling at the two maids in front of her. Their simple conversation made her stand in place, stunned. Then quickly go give the tremella lotus seed to Sir Witch Lord. I'm still rushing to the Star Palace to deliver Sir Ling Xiu the peach blossom soup. Okay. Wait a minute, system. Did I hear wrongly? Who did the maid say she was going to give the peach blossom soup to? Stupid host, you didn't hear wrongly. You put in the dense fragrance wrongly. F***, are you kidding me? What was wrong with that maidservant? Why was she wandering around for no reason? Can you concentrate on your work? Work can make people happy. Luo Qingchun didn't have any strength left because she had forcefully used the space freezing technique. She couldn't catch up to the maids at all. Chapter 78. When she came to the Star Palace's barrier, the maid handed the peach blossom soup to the only child in the palace, Missouri Bai. System, quickly come out. What do we do now? There's no other way. You can't go to the Star Palace. Why? Is the God-punishing sword array really that powerful? Of course, it is the strongest sword array on the Harmony continent. Not to mention you being immortal, even the little princess of the immortal race might not be able to escape unscathed. Luo Qingchun slightly knit her brows. Because of her negligence, she had stumped the system that thought it could do anything. Host, the God-punishing sword array has been weakening. Why is it weakening? It should be because the male lead Ling Xiu ate the dense fragrance you mistakenly put in. Damn, what do we do? That. Yuning said that Ling Xiu was abstinent. So in this aspect, he shouldn't have any interest, right? Host, do you think that this system's dense fragrance is the same as a normal aphrodisiac? Then what do you think we should do? Why don't you lend me the instant movement canvas shoes that are rewarded by this plane? No, but the host can choose to exchange for instant movement. It requires 500 exchange points. My God, you're charging me such an expensive exchange point for just a few steps. Do you still have conscience? Instant movement is very precious and is a third-grade item. The host can choose to exchange for it. Yes/no. All right, you're ruthless enough. Do I have a choice? Quickly exchange, otherwise I'll feel bad when I think of my exchange points. There was only 900, but now there's only 400 left. Why didn't you say it required 900? Broken system. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for instant movement, one-time use. The system's non-existent face revealed a helpless expression. If it wasn't for the male lead Ling Xiao eating the dense fragrance and his spiritual energy being affected, how could the host be lucky enough to use instant movement to pass through the god-punishing sword array? The host actually thinks it's expensive. When Luo Qingshun opened her eyes again, the system had already sent her to Ling Xiao's bedroom in the Star Palace. She couldn't help looking back. Seeing the sword chi intersecting, the thousands of swords glowing with the god-punishing sword array, she couldn't help trembling. It really was terrifying. Luo Qingshun raised her eyes slightly, and under the moonlight, she had a panoramic view of the Star Palace. This was a palace made of aqua blue-colored glazed stone. White starlight was used as embellishments, like a constellation in the night sky, persevering in midair. This is simply a huge Milky Way temple. She couldn't help but exclaim as she looked at the scene in front of her. The further away they were from the god-slaying sword formation, the quieter the stellar hall felt. Indeed, even if it was Xiao Tong, there were only two people here. Logically speaking, wasn't it too extravagant for two people to live in such a huge palace? Luo Qingshun lifted her feet slightly and walked along the stairs towards the bedroom. She gently opened the door, and a strange fragrance instantly assailed her nostrils, making her blood boil and her mouth dry. This couldn't be the dense fragrance, right? That's right. The host only smelled a little of the fragrance and had such a strong reaction, let alone when a male lead ate it. It was so fragrant. How could a legendary beast god like him not feel anything unusual? Before the dense fragrance is fermented, it is colorless and odorless. No one in this plane can detect it. WTF. Chapter 79. Ling Xiao only felt a bit of heat in his body, but now that he was close to the person in front of him, his heart couldn't help beating fast. This kind of feeling, he had never felt it before in his life. The girl in front of him was wearing a white dress with red and white plum blossoms decorating her snow-white face. It was like a plum blossom blooming, not luxurious, but peaceful. She had a milky white jade bracelet on her hand, and with a slight movement, it let out a clear sound. She looked up slightly with a panicked expression on her face. Leaning against the bright moon, there was a light aura around her. Her skin was snow-white, and her beauty was indescribable. Luo Qingshun felt her blood boil. Her words were stuck in her throat, and she couldn't say them no matter what. She slowly opened her eyes lit up by the sacrificial spiritual sword and was instantly stunned. The person in front of her was wearing a moon-white brocade robe with a silver pattern. What kind of indifferent and peerless face was that? That handsome face and the black eyes under those willow brows were like a pool of ink that couldn't be dissolved. White skin and a pair of deep black eyes that seemed like they could see through everything in the past and present. They were like cold stars when they were serious. So handsome. It really was the most handsome, cold, and charming forbidden man that Huan Yuning said was the Harmony Continent's most handsome, cold, and charming forbidden man. After all, the current him didn't seem to be that abstinent. System, can you tell me the male lead's affection for the previous host? Previous host 10%. The system's mechanical voice sounded, making her heart turn cold. Not to mention the fact that they went through life and death in the ice mountain. She even dug out her heart for him. But it was only 10%. After the male lead changed his heart, he no longer has any memories of the past. 10% is just a thought that came from the depths of his heart. He doesn't remember? Thinking about it, in the previous host's memories, he was like a fool without a heart. And after having a heart, he was the beast god Ling Xiao. So how could he remember her? Yes. Then what about his affection for the supporting female lead? Supporting female, lead 70%. F asterisk CK. This is 2 F asterisk king high. This supporting female lead was heaven-defying. When Luo Qingshun was still arguing with the system about affection, Ling Xiu's voice cut her off. You drugged him? He looked in her eyes, his cold voice carrying a hint of hoarseness. How is that possible? Luo Qingshun instantly shook her head and said seriously, I'm not that kind of person. Host, don't you feel guilty for lying like this? The system purposely used the words that the host often used to diss her. It can't be. My conscience is the same as yours. When her clear voice entered his ears, it was as if a soft hand was invading his heart inch by inch. It was as if it could swallow all of his rationality at this moment, if it went in even an inch. Luo Qingshun looked at his thin lips and wanted to go forward, but she heard his cold voice. Don't come over. His breathing quickened as he looked at her loosely tied-up black hair and those pink lips. He only felt that the desire in his body was gradually getting out of control, adding in his heart that was wildly beating like it didn't care about its life. If the girl in front of him took another step forward, he didn't know what he would do. With a dong sound, the sacrificial spiritual sword fell to the ground. His lips slightly pursed as he took 2 steps back. Luo Qingshun looked at his white face that had a blush on it and beads of sweat on his forehead. His slightly knit brows seemed like there were many deep thoughts hidden in them, but they also knit together.